Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, the new Magic Keys program. We have all the details released today. The Jungle Cruise premieres at the park.
More food locations have reopened. More features in the Disneyland app. We answer your submitted questions and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Well, hello there. Welcome to our unbirthday party. For your safety, please be sure to stay listening with your hands, arms, feet, and ears inside the podcast. And please, do give Tag and Teresa easier trivia questions. Well, it seems DL Weekly is about to begin. Have a most wonderful time. Perhaps tea time.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of August 4th, 2021. I'm Teg Bushman.
And I'm Teresa Urban. We would like to send a shout out and a big thank you to Allison Q, Ben S., Sherry M., Stephen S., all for becoming new supporters, and also to JD for increasing your support of the show. This support helps to make DL Weekly possible. The supporter Discord chat has been such a great and fun source of Disney magic from all of our supporters, like theme topic days, movie nights, so much more. Today we had quite the discussion going on about the new Magic Keys program and what our thoughts were, and just sharing information about that. It was a lot of fun. Very lively. So if you would like to become an official weekly tier yourself and have some more Disney magic in your day, head on over to dlweekly.net/support to sign up.
Well, we want to just point out a giveaway that is happening over on our Instagram page. Our partners over at All Enchanting Ears have partnered with us to do a giveaway, and one lucky winner will have their choice of one item from their shop. If you want to look at the items that you could get, you can go to allenchantingears.com. Basically, to enter yourself into this contest, you will go to our Instagram page at Instagram.com/DLWeekly and follow us, follow All Enchanting Ears as well, and then like the post. This post was posted 5 days ago as we record this. It'll be 6 days ago from Wednesday. July 29th is when it was posted. And then you're going to comment on one of the unique and amazing things that we experienced during our latest trip, which if you listen to the last two episodes of the show, you should be able to easily find something. Don't rub it in, though. Somebody did post something about Teresa and Vern's flight, which...
That was not fun.
It was not fun and exciting.
It was unique, but it was not fun and exciting.
And somebody did say the Indiana Jones fanny pack, which I was excited about.
That was one of my favorite comments, was finding your fanny pack.
And producer James was sad that somebody said him getting locked in a cage.
Yes.
So go ahead and do that. We will be picking a name from the list there and getting in contact this Friday, which is...
The 6th?
The 6th.
Now let's get to the news.
Well, Disneyland unveiled their new annual pass holder program, now called Magic Key. The new program looks to be a reskin of the old program with 4 tiers of passes. The Dream Key, which has no blackout dates, allows 6 reservations held at a time, 20% off select merchandise, and 15% off select dining, with parking included for $1,399. The Believe Key is the next level with more blockout dates, 6 reservations at a time, 10% off select merchandise and dining, and 50% off parking for $949. The Enchant Key has more blockouts and is similar to the Flex Pass on the old system. It includes 4 reservations and 10% off select merchandise and dining for $649. Finally, the Imagine Key is the new SoCal Select Pass with the most blockouts, only available to SoCal residents, 2 reservations at a time, and 10% off select merchandise and dining for $399. All plans allow for a payment plan if the purchaser resides in California. For full details, check out the link in our show notes at dlweekly.net.
So I think Tag and I both agree this was kind of a whirlwind of emotions, an emotional whirlwind for us, if you will. So we, like everyone... super excited about what's it going to be, had all these, we even were talking about it in our group chat earlier with weekly tiers, hey, what do you think it's going to be? So when the announcement was finally made, it was kind of so I was surprised. I really thought that Disney was going to take this and they had a clean slate, right? This was a great opportunity for them to do whatever they wanted with the program. So I was expecting not the same thing. I feel like even way back when they introduced the Flex Pass, we knew that the reservation system would be coming, and we felt that would be coming to all pass levels. So for me... Before the pandemic. Yep, pre-pandemic. So for me, the fact that they have reservations for all pass levels, I wasn't surprised with that, but I was surprised that it's kind of sort of unlimited. However, I don't know. It makes sense. I get it. I'm just overall, my overall feeling for it, even though I was hoping for more, I'm just really excited that there's going to be a pass program again. I'm excited that we can get our passes again. Like this month, you can get a new pass starting August 25th. So for our next trips, we're going to be pass holders again, which is pretty exciting.
Well, you're going to be a pass holder again. I haven't been a pass holder for a long time since we started the podcast, but it'll be exciting to finally have one while we're doing the podcast.
Yes, which I'm going to sidetrack just a little before you go on your thoughts about the pass. We do have a special announcement to make because the first time that we get to use our shiny new Magic Key pass. Also, another side note, I feel like we need to figure out a better name for this because Magic Key holder is that's a lot. AP holder, or AP, great. MK, kind of weird. So I'm curious. MK makes
you think Magic Kingdom, and
yeah,
that's
I'm curious how that's going to work. Anyways, so the first time that Tag and I will get to use our shiny new passes will be much sooner than we thought, which is great. We booked tickets. We had to try and be very sneaky about this because we didn't want to let all the details out before, but we booked tickets and we will be out at the end of September to enjoy the Oogie Boogie Bash. We'll be bashing on September 26th. We're going to be in the parks just a couple of days. We're doing not a full week, but more extended than a long weekend. We're really, really excited to be back out in the parks one more time this year.
And with this new pass, we were thinking that we were going to have to pick days.
Yeah.
But with the pass, you can park hop after 1 p.m. So not going to be a problem.
We're super excited. More details to come, of course, on our trip. We'll probably have another meetup and all that sort of fun stuff. But more details to come on that later.
I kept forgetting we weren't supposed to talk about it. So if you've been to our website in the last 2 or 3 days, there is a Oogie Boogie Bash trip countdown that's been on the side of the site.
We kind of leaked it on our live stream, public live stream too. So yeah, we were just too excited. I'm just impressed that we kept it under wraps until we got back from the July trip.
So a couple things before I get into my thoughts on it that came up a little bit later in the day was first that if you, within the first, 66 days, right?
66 days.
In the first 66 days, if you join this new program, you will get a welcome kit that is based off of the 66th anniversary of the park, which is nice.
Do you know what that welcome kit includes? Not just a magnet, not just a pin, but a button.
Now, here's the question for you. Would you rather have the button or a physical card?
Don't do me that way.
Because it sounds like you'll get a paper card like you would a regular day guest.
So,
or otherwise it's mainly just sitting in your app.
Yeah, so physical pass cards. I was a little bit more hurt by this than I should have been. We were joking earlier. I said, with it being the Magic Key program, wouldn't it be cool if we got a key? I knew this wasn't a thing. Obviously, you're going to have some sort of scannable item, right?
Yeah.
So I'm instead of a boring old plastic card, what if they gave us keys and we got keys to the, keys to the kingdom, keys to Disneyland? How cool would that be? Well, Tag's it'll probably just be a card. He's or maybe it'll just be on the app. I'm oh no, don't say that. That's so, I love the card. I don't know what's so magical about the card, but it's just, I'm a nerd. I've been carrying my pass in my wallet daily just cuz. So that's me.
You just having that little bit of Disney magic with you every day.
Yeah, and it's just fun. It
you have your phone every day. The app's in there.
Yeah, but when I'm in my wallet and I see it puts a smile on my face. Okay. But yeah, so they did announce that physical pass cards, you can request a paper pass card at the Disneyland Resort main entrance ticket booth, but there could be a non-refundable fee of $20 could be required to obtain or replace said paper pass. I'm not okay. First of all, paper, you couldn't at least give us a plastic card.
No, they're trying to save money.
I know, but paper's not going to hold up. So I was joking that I was going to have to bring my laminator.
I mean, you should have known this because when we were there, they didn't want your physical card. They wanted you to scan your app.
Yeah, but I was blaming that on the fact that the legacy pass holder thing was this kind of intermediate thing. So yeah, so the paper thing just kind of just stings. I would have rather.
I have a laminator. Do you want to laminate it?
Well, I'm going to have to pay possibly $20 for my paper card. I'm not paying
I don't think they're going to charge you $20 for the first one. I think it's if you lost it, they're going to charge you $20.
So I'm curious though, because so when we went this past time, we had our tickets on our app. First day we scan them in, they give us a paper card. So I wonder, now that annual pass holders don't necessarily have a physical card, are you going to get a paper ticket each time you visit the parks?
I don't think so,
like
because
one
I
of
think
the
that,
turnstile tickets.
like, what's the difference between what they're saying here?
I don't know.
See, I don't think you're going to get one. I don't know why they even give you a paper one, to be honest.
I don't understand the paper thing. I wish they would have just not even done it, because it just makes me sad. And I know I like having the pass in my app. Do not get me wrong. I like both. I like the physical card, but I also like the convenience of having
They're
it
trying to
in my
get
app.
rid of, I think, they want everything in the app.
Yeah, I know.
So the other thing to note is we've done this before. So if you have any regular ticket or multi-day tickets, you can convert those, use those to pay for part of an annual pass. However, the California resident 3-day special tickets that they have been promoting that go through the end of September are not valid for that, because it was a special price, a special deal. So if you want to upgrade your pass, you have to have a regular ticket or a multi-day ticket that you can take to the ticket booth and convert it. And what will happen is, if you're let's say you have a 5-day park hopper and you're on day 3 and you decide that you want to get an annual pass, when you go to trade that in, it will go back to the first day you came in with that ticket, which is what they did before when you converted yours. So, but the 3-day ones cannot be done. So anybody who's been buying the special deal ones that I think, what was it, like $83 a day or something, if you used them, you can't use those to upgrade. My thoughts now. So I was very disappointed at this announcement, because somebody leaked in our chat. Well, it wasn't leaked in our chat. Somebody leaked on Blog Mickey what the tiers were going to be about an hour before the official announcement came out. And I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know. This seems like the old program with different names. The pricing seems about the same. The benefits. The only thing different, there's 2 things that like stand out to me. One, there's no Max Pass on any of these. On these. And there's reservations now that are required. So to me, why did they spend all of these months working on this to give us basically the same thing before, except for now it doesn't have it doesn't have Max Pass and we have to do a reservation.
Well, I'm curious if some of those, if add-ons like Max Pass and Photo Pass, if those maybe will be things that you can do later. Like, they haven't announced that. They just announced like the core of the program, if you will. Now maybe there will be maybe who knows, there'll be add-ons, maybe not, because Photo Pass, like Max Pass, I feel like we're in this weird limbo with Fast Pass in general right now, so I can see how maybe not offer that on passes, but Photo Pass I would think would be why wouldn't you offer some sort of special deal for Photo Pass? I don't know. We were joking, like, maybe because they had all those surveys that had people say what they wanted, what they liked, what they didn't like, whatever. So we were joking that maybe like the results were just kind of all across the board, and they're like, well, the old system wasn't that bad. We'll just do some tweaks, and poof, there we are. So it'll be interesting. Again, overall, I'm just happy that it's back.
Yeah. So for our standpoint of being able to go and make our trips more affordable to be able to go, we could probably squeeze probably at least one extra trip a year now out of things, because we don't have to buy tickets every single time, which is nice. And I think a lot of people, the $3.99 pass is really good. There are a ton of blockout dates that $3.99 pass. In fact, somebody had posted in the chat.
Yeah, so Gothic Rosie had this really great, I don't know if you follow her on Facebook, but she had this really great graphic that she made for this, and it says for each of the different levels what the available days are. So for the Dream, that's the highest tier, it's 365, no blackouts. Believe there's 317 days available. Enchant, which is the one we're looking at, had 219 days available, but the Imagine Pass, it is the lowest price point, it is just $3.99, has 147 days available. So it kind of, it really depends on what you're looking for. We just totally lucked out. We have some, like we were talking about, trips planned. So we looked at the calendar, the blackout calendar for our trips that we already had planned, and it just worked out that they were available under the Enchant level. So that's why we decided to start with that level. The other thing to think about too, if you're kind of a little nervous about looking at the park calendars and like, oh gosh, I don't know what my trips are going to be like next year, you know, how much you can always get a pass. And if that pass doesn't work for you, you can always upgrade. So say you decide to start with the Imagine Pass because you live in California or you live in Southern California and the blackout days are just really, really not doing it for you. You can always upgrade to the Enchanter, to the Believe. You can always upgrade. You just can't start at a higher level and then downgrade is the thing.
Right.
So I've been telling people if you're not quite sure what pass to get, go with the lower option, see how it works, and then if needed, bump up.
The other thing that wasn't exactly clear at the beginning, but we've since realized is you can do those payment plans again. That was something that people were concerned about. So, yes, you have to pay $179 down payment, basically, and that's basically like the cost of a ticket for that day, so you're not going to like refund it or whatever. The payment for the Dream level is actually only $101.67 a month, which actually is not that bad. The Believe payment would be $64.17. The Enchant would be $39.17, and the Imagine one is only $18.33.
For less than $20 a month, you can have a pass. Now, the payment plans are only open to residents of California. So us out-of-state people not able to do the payment plans, we do have to pay for our passes up front. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, slightly disappointed, but just really happy that there's something back like Tag. I was expecting something more creative and different and fun, but I'm just glad that we don't have to pay full price tickets each time we go out.
The other fine print that made me realize that this may not be... So it's on the surface, it seems very similar to what we had before, but as I was reading the terms and conditions, because it seemed like they hid a lot of like details in there, was that it seems like they may get to a point like they did a couple years ago where they were limiting the SoCal passes.
Yeah.
It sounds like in their terms and conditions that they could limit any of these passes at any time. So come the 25th, I would not be necessarily surprised if certain tiers of the pass are like, we've hit the limit, we're selling of those right now.
Yeah.
And now you just have to wait for it to open up again. Because that's what they did with the SoCal pass before COVID.
It'll be interesting because with how they're doing it now, because, right, our new pass program requires reservations to get into the parks. Well, the one thing that also needs to happen is just the regular day visitors or the regular, the people that are buying the multi-day tickets also are needing reservations. So Disney has a really good feel and they have a really good look and they have a lot of control as to how many people are coming into the parks per day versus with the, pre-pandemic stuff. It was just kind of whoever showed up, and if there was, are they at capacity or are they not at capacity? It was kind of all over the place. So it'll be interesting to see how much Disney watches the trends, watches the numbers. I know when we were in Florida last year, right, we were just regular old ticket holders. Florida never got rid of their annual pass program, so they did have annual pass holders wanting to visit the parks as well. They had some sort of system figured out where a normal, like, day ticket person had we're just going to put numbers out. 60% of the reservations were set aside for normal day ticket type people, vacationers or whatever. And then the other 40% of reservations were set aside for the annual pass holders. Well, the problem they were running into was the annual pass holder calendar was booked up solid. There were no reservations left for annual pass holders. However, they weren't getting a lot of people coming in with the day tickets. So they had a lot of open availability on the opposite side of the calendar. So it'll be interesting to see how much Disney kind of moves the pools, if they move the pools. I don't think they're going to say, oh, you have the higher tiered pass, so of the 40% of availability for pass holders, 20% is for that higher tier. I don't think they're going to get that specific with it. But it'll just be interesting to see, because, like, think of different times of the year that are more busy than other times. Are there going to be fewer pass holder reservations for those because they know things like spring break, summer, the holidays, those are really big vacation times of year? Are they going to have less reservations then, or is it going to be the same all the time? It'll just be interesting.
Yeah, I think the reason they have the blockout dates is the way that they're going to handle that pool of availability for annual pass holders. So my assumption would be that they generally have a mix, a percentage mix, and the way that they adjust it without getting too complicated in their system is they just do blockout dates. So they may have 40% available all the time for annual pass holders. Well, 40% during Christmas will all be available for those higher paid people, where the other people are blocked out so they can't get it.
Sure, that makes sense.
I also think that Disney is going to look at this and they're going to be adjusting numbers on the back end like crazy. Mm-hmm. And the good thing about this for them is nobody knows what those numbers are. So you can't really tell if they've made any changes, because how are you going to know?
That's true.
No, they don't publish what their mix of day pass and annual pass numbers are.
That's super
People
true.
just guess what the things are going to be. So it'll be really interesting to see that. The other thing I just wanted to say about my disappointment with this program is I was hoping that they would come out with something innovative and new and exciting. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they kind of spent all of this time since they ended the previous program and they said, oh, we'll have a new program by the time the parks opened, and then the parks reopened and they didn't have anything. And then, they kept extending the discounts. It just seemed like they were working on some magnificent new, brand new, amazing thing that was going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. It was going to be the rise of the resistance of annual pass programs. And we got there, and I feel like it's like Autopia. I'm like, oh, it's the same thing that's been here forever. Why did we wait? Why did they make such a big deal about it? Why did they do all of this work with surveys and stuff just to end up basically back where we were? That was my frustration. I think I felt bothered today because I had put so much, and this isn't necessarily Disney's fault, I guess, but I feel like me and some people in the community of Disney fans, not just our community.
I think a lot of people
were thinking that something was going to happen, some amazing, stupendous, wonderful, awesome thing. And then they're like, guess what? It's basically the same program as before, but we don't have this and we have this.
I wish I could have been a Tinkerbell in the room, or like a fly on the wall, right? To hear what all the discussions were. Because perhaps maybe they did have something like crazy new and whatever, but there was just a lot of pressure from the previous community of pass holders that really wanted, the program that they had been a part of for years and years and years. And so they were trying to find, trying to do something new and creative and fun, but also trying to do right by the fans and the previous pass holders, and they couldn't find the right balance, and they just kind of but I know that there's a lot of people that aren't very excited about the reservation system. For Tag and I, that doesn't, we're planning our trips out in advance anyways.
I don't think that people should be as concerned about the reservation system as people seem to be concerned about it, because I think there was a lot of concern about that when the parks reopened, and there was a lot of concern with the Flex Pass, and I don't think either of us, and most of the people in the community that had Flex Passes, I don't think there was, if there was, it was very rare, that there was a time that people could not get in the park if they wanted to.
Yeah.
If you had to adjust your trip by a day or two, I don't think it's the end of the world. And we never got what I thought might happen, which is that all of the Flex Pass days fill up for months, mm-hmm. and then you just can't get in. Mm-hmm. I know that Disney World, the annual pass blocks did fill up, but they haven't been doing the same mixture and stuff like Disneyland. Right. It hasn't been the same. So I think that with the blockouts and everything, I think they've already compensated for that. So I think it'll be a lot better. But I don't think people need to be worried about the reservations. I think people are worried because they're like, well, I want to go when I want to go.
Right.
But you said in our chat today, because there were some people that want to go when they want to go, and you said, you can make a reservation on the same day if it's open, and most of the time it is open.
Yeah, I did that during Oogie Boogie Bash, actually. I made a reservation the same day, and that worked out super well. That was Oogie Boogie Bash 2019. The other thing, too, is if you have... They're going to be pretty... I was surprised. They're going to be pretty lenient with reservations. I think you get in trouble once you, miss 3 park reservations. Yeah. And you just have to enter the park at some point in the day. They don't care if it's, before a certain time or after a certain time. So if you want to go to the park and head to the park after work, that's fine. They don't care that you you scanned in at 6 p.m. Nobody's upset about that. I think I read too that to cancel, if you're going to cancel a reservation, to not get in trouble, it has to be by midnight the day before or something, which I thought was incredibly lenient, because the odds of somebody else filling that spot that you just vacated are not very high. So anyways, it'll be interesting. It's going to be different for sure. But I'm just glad that something's back.
Now, one other aspect that we didn't talk about is the park hopping option that comes with this.
Oh, yeah.
They kept it to what is the park hopping option
Yep.
now, that you can't park hop until 1 p.m. What do you feel about that?
I don't know, because we didn't park hop at all with this past trip, and I think what kind of kept us away from it was because of the whole 1 p.m. thing. I don't know.
What kept us away from it was we just didn't buy the ticket because
we talked about it though. We were going to get the park hop or not the park hop, and we're like,
I just didn't think it was worth it, because what's the chance we were going to park hop?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's interesting. It must have to do with whatever research they put into the reservation program. I do think the park hopping at 1 p.m. is also going to stay in place for the regular ticket holders as well.
I just find it interesting because based on reports of pre-COVID and all this stuff, it seemed like what would happen would be that people would be in DCA and then, or in Disneyland, and then people would hop over for the nighttime entertainment.
Yeah.
And so, like, World of Color would get really busy because people would leave Disneyland for that, or Disneyland would get busy because of Fantasmic. So I feel like holding off park hopping till 1, I guess that just opens up the turnstiles for people in the morning who are trying to get in for the first time, and they're not waiting for someone who's already been in a park for a couple hours. But I don't know. I guess I don't care.
Yeah, I'm also kind of not very familiar with how the park hopping works. Like, I don't know, but since we didn't actually experience it ourselves, do you have to park hop? Like, if say my first park reservation is Disneyland, what if I stay in Disneyland until 3 p.m. and then go over to DCA at that time? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know if the shift had to happen at 1. And once I go to DCA, can I come back? Can I hop back over to Disneyland, or am I committed to DCA?
I think you just can't make your first hop until 1.
Oh, okay.
And I'd love to know from somebody who knows better,
okay.
like, why 1 o'clock is the magic time. The
Lunch.
one thing that did help too was
it's food. We're driven by our stomachs.
Was also the time at noon was the getting your passes, your boarding passes.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe 1 o'clock is good because you would already know if you had a boarding pass, and then maybe you wouldn't park hop because you didn't get it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an interesting little tidbit. Now, there are some benefits that they have that they didn't have before, which I think everybody's kind of I've glazed over. You, I think, have been excited.
I glazed over, and then I went back because when this was first announced, the first thing I did was look at pricing and look at calendars, because that's what that's what we're used to, right? And so then later I was looking through it when I had more time, and I was like, oh, they've got a little thing for program overview, and exciting additional benefits. What's that? Well, some new benefits. So this is some new stuff. Some of it's the same. We have this as annual pass holders, but some of it is new. They are going to have extra benefits for Magic Key holders to enjoy throughout the year. Benefits include there's going to be what's called the Magic Key Terrace, which is going to be a reservation-based lounge that's only available for Magic Key holders plus their family and friends. There's going to be an entire month devoted to Magic Key holders, so a month-long celebration.
I wonder when that'll be.
I don't know. I was curious about that, too. Special experiences and collectibles. We kind of have that going on now. First access opportunities. Downtown Disney District will have discounts at participating locations. Same thing with annual passes. There's going to be Magic Key merchandise, novelty menu items, and more. So, again, things like specific popcorn buckets and sippers that are just for Magic Key holders. There's going to be Magic Key Disney Photo Pass opportunities, so special photo op spots and opportunities that they're going to sprinkle in throughout the year, and embroidery, special options for Magic Key Pass holders at select locations for embroidery.
I'm curious, like you said earlier, what the logo is going to be for this, because right now, like, the AP logo looks really nice, and I've seen the embroidered stuff before. And AP sounds so much easier, rolls off the tongue better than MK or key holder. It's just kind of, so it'll be interesting. I'm
very curious how it's gonna be, like, shortened and branded like
now,
they did AP.
Liberty's asking in the chat about where this terrace will be. I think this will be the Wine Country Trattoria, because that seems terracey.
Yeah, so currently the Legacy Pass holders have the Wine Country Trattoria. There's a separate area that is just for Legacy Pass holders. So I don't know if it's going to continue if it's the same thing, they're going to continue it, or if perhaps there's a different place. There was an announcement that starting September 1st, Starcade over in Disneyland is going to be a Magic Key holder specific spot
Oh.
and kind of like a lounge.
That's cool.
So there's going to be charging stations, charging stations for your personal devices. They're going to have different photo ops there and just kind of like a lounge kind of thing.
That's kind of cool.
So and it's a great way. We were talking about this during our trip. Poor Tomorrowland. We were standing in the queue for Space Mountain and we were just kind of looking around and you just see all of these like pieces of extinct attractions as you're standing in the queue for Space Mountain. You've got the Starcade. You can still see the like neon lit all
Sure.
nicely for the now extinct Starcade. Of course, you've got the People Mover tracks. You know, you just see
don't talk to me about the People Mover
and
tracks.
I can't even remember what it's called now. What was the thing that was on top of the
The Observatron.
the Observatron thing? And then you like look over and you see the previous Interventions building that's now Launch Bay. That's kind of a defunct thing. And it was just really sad standing there. I was like, oh. So I'm glad that they're doing something different with
I'll tell
these
you what,
spaces.
though, since your ticket's going to be just be in your phone and they're pushing all this phone stuff, a charging station is going to be
Right.
extremely handy.
It's going to be necessary. So anyways, extra little perks. Oh, and then the other thing too is there's going to be a community. So you're going to have special access, and there's going to be a Magic Key portal specific in the Disneyland app where you get to find different news, overview of benefits, custom content, special offers, that sort of thing. And then they're going to have new platforms. They had this before for annual pass holders, but make sure you follow Disneyland Magic Key on Facebook and at Disneyland Magic Key on Instagram.
They already have 4,420
Right.
followers.
No posts, but over 4,000 followers.
I'm
well,
going
we
to follow
know
this
what
for our account.
First 4,000 people are getting their passes.
Right.
Well, moving on. Sorry so much for
But I do want to say before
not
we move
moving
on, before we move on, we want to know what your opinion is. So if you're in the Discord chat, there's a whole section of the chat now that you can go in there and talk about that over the next few days. If you are not part of the Discord chat, and we're just curious to hear what your opinions of this new program are. So feel free, please shoot us an email, feedback@dlweekly.net, and we'd love to hear what you guys think about it, because obviously we have opinions about it, but we're not exactly the average person because we're in the
Correct.
Midwest and we do
Yep.
it for a podcast. And so be interested to see what casual people think of this program, and tell us what level you're going to get, if you're going to get one.
Mm-hmm. Well, the world-famous Jungle Cruise had a world premiere at Disneyland on July 24th, which sadly was just like 3 days after we left the park. But the cast from the movie rode the original attraction and then were accompanied by Jungle Cruise skippers down the red carpet on the Small World Mall to the premiere held in the Fantasyland Theater. Side note, I was very excited because one of our favorite skippers, Amanda Beth, got to be one of the skippers that was part of this whole thing. It was really fun and really cool to like recognize a face in the group. Of course, Justin and Rafa were there as well, the Disneyland ambassadors. So yeah, just super, super fun. It was really cool also just to see how they transformed parts of the park that we were literally there days before. And it was like this like red carpet, shiny, fancy movie premiere area. It was pretty neat.
I'm just glad that they did this a lot better than when they did the Pirates premieres, because when they did the Pirates premieres, now it was very cool. I'm not saying it was not cool, because they put bleachers up around the Fantasmic viewing area, and they put a screen on the end of the island, and they brought the Columbia out for it and did all this cool stuff, because obviously it's Pirates. Mm-hmm. But it made, I mean, everybody knows New Orleans Square is already hard enough to get through without having all these bleachers you couldn't walk through. So, and then they had the red carpet down Main Street, which obviously impacted that. So I'm glad that this time it seemed like they brought the cast through like a backstage area to get them onto the Jungle Cruise boats, do a Jungle Cruise tour, get off, meet everybody kind of there, and then head back. I'm not sure how they got from the Jungle Cruise to It's a Small World Mall.
I don't think they walked through the park. I can't imagine.
They did something because they said that they were like heralded over there or whatever. Mm-hmm. But they did it in the Fantasyland Theater, which is great because they already have seats and stuff there that you could easily mask it around. You could put a screen there. It doesn't impact daily operations. So I think that the ops team at Disneyland and the people that came in to do this premiere there did a really nice job. Mm-hmm. Also, how freaking cool is it that they did, obviously, the park where the first Jungle Cruise was, they did this movie premiere at. It would have been super cool. For those of you who weren't on our stream, Teresa and I have both bought it on Premiere Access and watched it on our Disney Plus.
It's great.
How many times have you watched it now?
I've only watched it once. Verna's watched it twice.
Okay, well, which you said he was going to watch it
Yep.
twice. I've only watched it once too, but however, I thought it was great. And as I've watched later movies with Dwayne Johnson, I've really liked him in movies. He was really great in the Jumanji movies. It feels like not a huge jump to go from Jumanji to the Jungle Cruise. I thought the Jungle Cruise movie was really nice. Obviously, in the first 5 minutes, I know producer Vern was very excited because it was very Jungle Cruise-esque.
It was.
So I'm glad that they did this at the park, and it did it in a way that like was nice to the park and didn't totally obliterate things for everybody who was there. Also, it was my birthday, but I wasn't there. For those of you who either went out to the theater or purchased the Premiere Access to the Jungle Cruise on Disney Plus, you may want to keep an eye out on the attraction next time you visit. Some clever Easter eggs have been added to the iconic attraction from the movie. Some clothing worn in the movie appears on the office door and walls of the office of Alberta Falls. A map hangs on the wall across from the Society of Explorers and Adventurers collection, and more. Check out the link in our show notes at DLWeekly.net to see more.
Yeah, so these, to clarify, these Easter eggs aren't actually like in the jungle in the attraction. They're in the queue area, which the queue area did just get a really nice refresh to kind of tie in the new story of the Jungle Cruise with the queue area. So it just feels like refreshed, and it feels more, how do I say this? It almost feels more lived in and kind of more like a working like station for the Jungle Cruise skippers. So I thought it was fun that they added in some of these tie-ins. We're going to have to keep our eyes peeled next time because they're kind of, they're very well hidden. So like one of the things is a conquistador's hat, which I'm not going to give away why that's relevant to the movie, but that would maybe be something I wouldn't exactly notice. The map, however, I feel like they showed the map of the jungle in the movie quite often, so I probably would notice that one. And there's like a couple of, I think, like coats maybe hung up too. So I think they're really well done Easter eggs. They might sound, if you haven't been to the Jungle Cruise recently, they might sound a little out of place, but they work really well with the refreshed version of the queue.
Yeah, and it's subtle. So, like, if you haven't watched the movie, it's not like it's in your face. It's not like adding Jack Sparrow to Pirates.
Yeah.
It's just very, like, if you're in the know, it's there.
Yeah. The cool thing, too, that I want to quickly say about the Jungle Cruise movie is I think Disney did a really good job. We were Tate and I were talking about this. It feels a lot like how the first Pirates movie felt. They did a really good job with making, like, nods to the attraction, but the movie storyline really doesn't have anything to do with the original attraction.
Right.
So if the Jungle Cruise attraction maybe isn't your thing, or if you have a family member or a friend that's never visited a Disney park and had the pleasure of going on a Jungle Cruise themselves, they're not going to be lost watching the movie. Whereas I felt the Haunted Mansion movie with Eddie Murphy, they kind of tried to almost like make a story out of what's in the attraction versus just having it be its own thing. So I thought they did a really nice job with that.
I agree with you. I think it felt very Pirates of the Caribbean, where it was like a kind of a big blockbuster movie that had a lot of elements from like that nods and stuff. Like if you know, you'd know, but you could also enjoy it if you didn't know anything about it. So, and I thought that it was good. It was like a good storyline. I didn't like cringe at anything. I thought there was some really good moments in there. For those of you who watched it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Great jokes, of course. Lots of good jokes.
How do you think Dwayne Johnson did on delivering?
I think he did good.
Yeah.
I would go on a cruise around the jungle with him as my skipper. In fact, some lucky guests at the Disneyland Resort did get to have Dwayne Johnson as their skipper.
And Emily Blunt, too.
Yes,
Wasn't she also there?
Yep, Emily was there, too. So they did take some lucky guests on a cruise around the jungle. That would have been, like, surreal.
That would have been really
been
cool.
so cool. Well, one of the original establishments in Disneyland has finally reopened to guests. The Golden Horseshoe returned on July 29th for dining only at this time. There is plenty of seating indoors in the cool air conditioning that is very much needed in the heat of summer. We could have used some of that air conditioning when we were there.
It was very hot. I think my least favorite thing of our trip was that it was just so hot. In the sun, when you're in the shade, it was fine. It was just very hot. I'm glad to see this open. I'm excited. Eventually, hopefully, they'll bring back the entertainment in there. I know it's a slow process. The main floor of the Golden Horseshoe, half of it, the tables have been moved to allow for queuing for people waiting to order and coming and picking up mobile orders and stuff like that. But the tables have all been kind of scooched to their side. So I don't think they've lost any tables. I think they're just a little closer together now. And again, perfect for air conditioning. It's just kind of a great place to sit. I liked doing that even when, like, between shows, getting food, because it's a cool atmosphere.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
A staple of the Disneyland Resort has returned to at least one location for now. With the reopening of the Pacific Wharf Cafe, bread bowls have returned. Guests can now get mac and cheese or your choice of broccoli cheese or clam chowder in the bowl. Each version is $11.49. The bowls are made fresh daily at the location and will hopefully make their way back to Disneyland as well soon.
I was I was more excited about this than probably I should have been. Bread bowls are just such a weird but still iconic part of Disneyland and Disneyland food. So it was just really exciting to see them return. Like Tag said, hopefully right now they're just in DCA. Eventually they'll make their way back over to Disneyland. But for now, if you need to get your bread bowl fix, DCA is the place to be. I do think when we're there in September, I'm going to have to get soup and a bread bowl.
Broccoli cheddar, probably, right? Because you're not a clam person.
Nope, I'm not a clam chowder person. And mac and cheese in a bread bowl seems
heavy.
Yeah, it seems like a little much for me. So I'm thinking broccoli cheese. I do think that they do, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think they have salads that they do in bread bowls too, which that would be interesting. I've never had a salad in a bread bowl.
I had the clam chowder when we were there, and it came with a little roll on the side. So I am very happy for them to bring back the bread bowl, because that's part of the whole experience is the bread bowl.
Definitely. Well, one of my favorite treats is now available with a little bit of something extra. Alcohol. The Pixar Pier Parfait can now be ordered with Blue Caraco. The rest of the treat is exactly the same as the standard parfait. Guests can pick one up for $13 at the Adorable Snowman Treats over on Pixar Pier.
What do you think of this?
So this is my favorite DCA treat. No lie, everyone, our last night in DCA, that was my dinner, was a Pixar Pier Parfait. Tag had a Pimnini. The producers both had Monte Cristos, and here I am with my Pixar Pier Parfait. It was fabulous. It looked kind of messy to me, to be honest, because a Pixar Pier Parfait is lemon, soft serve, and a blue slushy. So it's already kind of a different texture. It's not slushy, but it's also not ice cream. It's somewhere in between. So adding the little bit of liquid made it almost look like a drink, it wasn't as solid. So it looked a little messier to me, and every photo that I've seen of it, the ice cream looks like it's melted a bit more, and it's not as firm, I guess. I don't know how you'd say that. So I mean, I wouldn't not try it. But yeah, I'm not super excited. I'm glad that they just did an addition to the treat and they didn't totally change the recipe completely.
Yeah. I generally am not an alcohol person. I don't know how strong of a alcohol flavor Blue Caraco is, but I like the original, so I don't know if I need it. Just I tried the spiked Dole Whip because producer James and community manager Kate got one of each of the different types. They had coconut rum and a dark rum, and too much boozy flavor for me. This sounds really amazing, and if it's there when we're there, I have to buy one of these because the picture
was really excited about this too.
The picture looks amazing. The peanut butter sandwich, a guest favorite, has returned to the Candy Palace on Main Street. For $5.49, guests can purchase this peanut buttery treat. The sandwich is filled with soft peanut butter filling with peanuts on the top and mixed into the filling and coated with chocolate with a red white chocolate Mickey head on it. I looked at this, and the filling with the peanuts inside, my mouth was watering.
Yes. I don't know why this looks so, delicious and amazing, but this is, top of the food list of what we're trying.
Are you starting to make a food list already?
This is it. This is the food list. Mm-hmm. And this is, so we got this information from the Disney Food Blog, and in here, obviously, I'm not going to question the Disney Food Blog. It's in their name, for crying out loud. But this was a treat that had been at the parks before, and I'd never heard of this treat until now when it's returning. But it was there in I think as early as 2010, so it's kind of been around for a while.
They said it's changed a lot over the years,
it's changed a lot,
the one from now looks the best.
Yeah, it's changed a lot over the years, and it's also not always available. So I just have always completely missed it, but
I just want to eat
it looks good.
I want to eat the screen. It looks so good.
It does look good. It looks very rich, though, so Maybe.
Usually
I don't know
peanut butter stuff isn't too rich.
I don't know if you're going to go, like, if I'm going to have my hand bitten off. Maybe the first one we share.
Sure.
And then figure out, like, do we want to commit to an entire one? Because we don't want another churro toffee incident tag.
I was just going to say, do we not want a churro toffee situation?
No.
So you'll be probably not surprised, but we unpacked when I got home, and I realized that my piece of churro toffee that I'd taken like 2 bites out of was it had like melted a little bit. So I'm going to try to eat it still, but...
You know who bought you that piece of churro toffee?
Who?
You better enjoy it.
I also have...
I bought you that churro
I also
toffee.
have from San Diego, I ate it though, that giant biscotti from that Italian cat.
yeah?
That was so good. I ate that in one of the hotel rooms we stayed at.
The Disneyland mobile app has become the go-to place for park tickets, mobile ordering reservations, and now even more. The Disney Parks blog pointed out some of the new features, like a new personalized home screen, and coming later this year, online check-in and digital room key for Disneyland hotels. More mobile ordering locations, PhotoPass Plus one-day option, and even a mobile merchandise checkout. Now, next time we go, I wanted to try the mobile merchandise checkout when we were there, but I failed really hard on the shopping front this past trip. I don't know why, but I just did not devote any time to shopping. I bought a couple of pins. I did not buy any ears. That was
you meant
terrible.
to go back.
Yeah, I
and
meant to go
didn't.
back and it didn't work. The same thing happened for Touch of Disney. We meant to go back and then it was too late.
This is what you should learn, that you have to shop early.
I know. Well, the problem is we do other things and then just get distracted.
D23 worked out well because I was taking photos of things I wanted to remember to get them later. But the problem that we had is we went to San Diego that day and we were going to go back that night, but we got back later than we thought. And we did pizza, and then it was like bedtime because you guys had to go early.
It was already like the store was closing by the time
That's
we were eating pizza. The other thing, D23, I realized, I was trying to figure out differences between our trips. Catspur was like a picture fiend, so we did better at taking pictures because he was just always stopping and taking pictures.
True.
And he was a shopping fiend, so we did better at shopping.
That's
because
true.
we were always going on. Yeah, we were just really ride distracted this time, I think.
I think the other thing too, and this goes against my whole Max Pass, Fast Pass thing, is because we had Max Pass and could just get on rides so easily, we weren't spending those time. We're doing what Fast Pass was meant for. We weren't spending time in line. We were spending time in shops.
That's true.
The LA time, well, we didn't even talk about this. So the idea of the digital room key. So I actually stayed at a hotel a few months ago in Madison, Wisconsin that had this. And it was super nice to be able to check in on the app. Your room key would be there. Mm-hmm. The only downside is you have to open the app and have it like there. It wasn't something that like you could just hold your phone up and would do it. So unlike, but I guess you're getting out a key card and stuff.
Get the card out of your pocket or wallet.
But
so
I like we said earlier with the passes, I like the digital stuff. I think that the online check-in is also really good because, like, why should you have to go up to, especially if you have the room key on your phone now, why should you have to go up to the desk to check in?
Well, and just how much easier is that for the cast members? You know, because then they're there for, like, the servicey type things and for the things that need their attention, you know? And if you can simplify a check-in process, I'm all for it, for sure.
The LA Times recently posted an article about the new Stuntronic that had been flying high above Avengers Campus. They spoke with the team responsible for the Stuntronic and how the development process went. The delay in the land opening provided an opportunity to make the show even better by getting Tom Holland, who plays Peter Parker and Spider-Man in the movies, to record the dialogue for the show. Isn't that interesting? I thought that was always part of the show, but apparently not.
I'm just, like, mind blown by that because I'm trying to figure why would you not have Tom Holland do that? So I'm just trying to, I got stuck on trying to figure out what it would have been.
I think it was a timing thing. They were trying to get the land open.
Yeah, but who would have been the voice of Spider-Man? I can't even form a sentence. That's how much it doesn't make sense to me. Wow.
So
I can't imagine that Tom Holland, brings energy to the pre-show, and I think kind of ties the whole attraction together because it's the current voice of Spider-Man, so it's really hard to think of someone else's voice there. It just would not have felt right.
Well, in the interview, the Imagineers that worked on this thing, first of all, the first prototype of this chest plate is signed by Tom Holland and Kevin Feige. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Feige. It's pronounced some way that I didn't think it was.
The head of Marvel Studios.
Yeah, the head of Marvel Studios. Both signed it.
Yeah.
But they were saying that what really brought the show to life was when they did get Tom Holland to record it. Mm-hmm. He brings a lot of like awkwardness and spontaneity to the script and stuff that they gave him.
And just to Peter
he
Parker,
ad-libbed some stuff, which really added to the character, which I love Tom Holland, and I love him as Spider-Man, so I'm very happy that they were able to do this. Teresa was laughing at me because when we were in line, every time there was a Tom Holland, Peter Parker thing, I was just like giggling like a schoolgirl in the attraction queue.
Now maybe I misunderstood. So are they talking about Tom Holland wasn't originally going to be part of the Stuntronic?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about web slingers. I'm like, what? How? But also, that would not have been a very good continuity thing if Tom Holland was present in Web Slingers, but he wasn't the voice of Spider-Man for the show.
Well, I think they would have found someone that sounded similar enough, like they do with other things. How did you feel about the fact that, like, when we saw the Doctor Strange thing, that guy didn't really sound like Benedict Cumberbatch or whatever?
He also didn't look exactly like Benedict Cumberbatch, so it was kind of... I don't know. It's kind of okay. I think he did such a good job and a very convincing job of the show and the presentation of the show itself. At first, it bothered me because, like, I was seeing the Doctor Strange because, right, he's dressed exactly as Doctor Strange from the movie. So I had that, like, visual and that sound in my brain before he started. So then when he didn't look exactly right and didn't sound right, my brain was like, what? But then I just didn't care because the show was so great. So
it was a good show. We highly recommend, I think, the show.
Yes. I will say, though, back on the Stuntronic show, I'm going to be honest, I was a little disappointed. The Stuntronic was...
The highlight.
For sure, the highlight. The rest of it was just kind of...
It was goofy.
Clumsy and goofy and awkward, and I feel bad for the cast member that's performing because, right, it's you and this amazing robotic thing that's going to do things that you just can't do. So he was doing really incredible stunts, don't get me wrong, but it seemed like dwarfed by what the Stuntronic did. So
that's what they said in the article.
Kind of weird balance.
Was their goal with the Stuntronic was to not do anything that a human could do. So they can't fling a person that high up in the air.
Oh, no, yeah.
So they said they don't want to make animatronics that replace humans.
Right. But
they want to make it something that humans can't do.
Yeah, but then it's outperforming the human. So then the human just, like, again, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The stunts he was doing were incredible. And the fact that he was doing them elevated, like, on this little, I don't know, walkway thing with this tiny little fence was, like, amazing. But when you can see that and then also see the Stuntronic, it takes away from the cast members' performance.
The pre-Stuntronic part of the show, I felt very much like, you know how you get like a little kid who's very excited to show you that they learned how to do a cartwheel? That's kind of how it felt. It was like, look what I could do. Yeah. And then they did the thing. And then when he ran off in the Stuntronic, everything after that was fine. When he came out and like went down the wall and stuff, super cool.
Yep.
But just that initial thing kind of seemed very cheese filled.
Well, and like #Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, it'll be interesting. I don't think that will always be the show. I think that's what's cool about this land is these things can change and evolve and be different the next time you're there. So I'm curious to see what that show 2.0 is going to be.
I did enjoy all of the characters in the land, though.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if they can only do that for Galaxy's Edge, I'd be very happy.
Well, cast members were recognized and Disneyland celebrated them by having a week of festivities around the 66th anniversary of the park. Free food, attraction experiences, and after-hours celebrations in the parks were offered to cast, as well as duck races. You heard that right. Rubber ducks were purchased for $5 each for cast members, with proceeds going to Goodwill of Orange County, and were raced through It's a Small World. The other cool thing that cast members did is they decorated their ducks and like painted them and made them look like different characters or whatever. It was very fun. Well, in the end, Ruth, who works in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, won the race. And do you know what her duck was painted like?
Yeah, Ahsoka.
And it was done really, really well.
Yeah, so I didn't even know. So apparently they've done this a few years now.
How fun, right?
And like, I want to put a duck through It's a Small World. My question is, when you put it in, how long does it take to float through and come out? Because it's not a whole boat, so it's probably faster than like a regular boat going through. But how long? Like, you're sitting there in anticipation, like, When are they coming?
I wonder if they maybe have like people inside. Would they have like stations where they're like, oh, they're in this area now, or oh, they're over.
Ruth was quoted as saying that like she's not a morning person, but winning was like totally worth it.
Oh,
so
for sure.
That's super cool. This now, I didn't even know they did this. So this mixed with the canoe races, such awesome things that cast members get to do. I'm telling you. Well, you have a whole rubber ducky collection that you can use.
Vern does. Vern's very big into rubber ducks. That's one of his favorite things to like collect and find.
This is just amazing. And the fact that it happened the day we were recording this is even more amazing. And they put out an article about it like right away.
Yes.
Disney Imagineer and research fellow Lonnie Smoot has been granted his 100th U.S. patent, a first for anyone from the Walt Disney Company. His 100th patent was for, quote, systems and methods of presenting a multimedia entertainment in a venue, whatever that means, was granted on August 3rd, so the day we record this. Lonnie has worked for the last 42 years as a theatrical technology creator, inventor, electrical engineer, scientist, and researcher, of which 22 of those years were at Disney. Most recently, he's worked on the new lightsaber technology coming to the Galactic Star Cruiser experience coming to Disney World in 2022.
This was amazing. I mean, right? Imagineers are just incredible people. And I just love every opportunity that we get to kind of like get a peek behind the curtain and learn more about these people that bring these amazing magical experiences to all of us fans. So please, I highly recommend that you check out the link. Of course, it will be in our show notes, but the Disney Parks blog did put together a really nice article. It's not super long, so it's not like you need to set aside tons of time to read it, but it was just reading all the different things that, they kind of highlighted. He's worked on stuff like Tag just said, the Galactic Star Cruiser. They did the new lightsaber stuff. He did stuff like for the Haunted Mansion, stuff for different like stage production-y stuff.
Yep.
Everything. It's amazing. Just absolutely amazing. So anyways, please take a chance to read it. It would be so incredible to meet some of these people in person and like see them like and watch them work, because wow, just how incredible.
Well, the article also said that some of the things that he has patents for are things that have not quite made it into attractions yet. Like there is a technology that he's worked on that makes 3D attractions without needing 3D glasses.
Yeah. Just like...
I can't wait for that one to come around.
So cool. Just so cool.
They should have made that one come across before COVID when everybody's wearing masks, fogging up the glasses.
Yeah, there you go. So not that he would ever be listening to our humble little podcast, but thank you, Lonnie, for your dedication and for all of the just pure magic that you have brought to life for us to enjoy at the parks. It's just amazing.
What a career.
Oh, yeah. Just wow. Wow. An opening day icon was available for purchase on August 2nd. A replica plush from the opening day of Disneyland that traveled with Walt Disney on the Disneyland Railroad was for sale on Amazon Treasure Truck. The plush is 36 inches and is from the Disney Treasures from the Vault collection and is, of course, a limited edition. Plush went for $99.99 on Monday and is no longer available. Shocker, it sold out pretty quickly. But we thought it would be very interesting to talk about.
This was such an interesting thing. We have an article from Mice Chat linked in the show notes about this. They have a lot of history of the original one and stuff linked there as well, because, of course, it was in the exhibit that they had at the Bowers Museum. The original one was there, which was super cool to see. I believe it was also... Wasn't it on one of the shows on Disney Plus? Wasn't it like in the background, or they kind of talked quickly about it or something? I feel like I saw something.
It may have been, yeah.
But... This.
Oh, you know what? I think it may have been in the Imagineering story.
Gotcha. This Amazon Treasure Truck thing is very weird. So you go and whatever the deal is right now shows up on their page, but that's it. You can join like a text message thing, and they'll text you when it's available. I could not even get anywhere on their website to like see what this was or if it was sold out or what, because it was just confusing. So. I'm fairly certain it's sold out. They are limited things. This was a limited edition item, so pretty cool, though, that they brought this back for a limited time. I'm sure you could find it on eBay. Would you have bought one of these for $99.99?
No, I would not have. I think it's very cool, and I can see why it would be very desirable for a collector. But yeah, not something.
They said it was really large too. It was like the size of a toddler.
Yeah, I would feel, and it comes like in this giant box. I would feel really like sad. You know, I have dogs, so I
Luna would
not invest in $100 plush.
You mean $100 chew toy for Luna?
Yeah, poor Mickey.
The Disneyland Resort partnered with the Anaheim Union High School District to support Anaheim's innovative mentoring experience program. 6 students were selected to be paired with mentors at the resort to learn the ins and outs of working in experience integration, industrial engineering, finance, marketing, human resources, and public affairs. The internship lasted for 6 weeks and ended creating a business plan and presentation for a fictional theme park event is what they kind of ended the situation with.
What a cool opportunity for some of the local high school students to do this, this mentorship or this program with the Disneyland Resort. I just think it's so cool when they have these opportunities. Because, right, it's a theme park. You don't think of things like, how do I get a job becoming, like, it's how do you become an Imagineer? How do you this? How do you do that? You know, it is a business. There are a ton of people that work there. So I think it's really cool when they kind of open their doors and let people kind of in to learn like the business side of things and learn the behind the magic kind of stuff as far as that goes. So I think that's really neat. If I could have been a Anaheim high school student, I totally would have been all about this. How fun. Well, Walt Disney Imagineering has been busy with Disney Paper Park Series online since the pandemic began, and they're at it once again. This time, they have created and posted a pop-up map of Disneyland that you can cut out and color. The Disney Parks blog also teased more creations in the series coming in the future.
I started coloring my Main Street from months and months ago, and have not gone back to it. But I also printed out the castle because I wanted to make the castle. I need to find some time to finish this. I think it'd be real fun.
These are so incredible, and they're so very detailed that it's crazy. It's so crazy, and it's so cool that they started this thing during the pandemic, during the shutdown, bringing a little bit of Disney magic into our homes. But it's even like more cool to me that they're continuing. There's no reason that they need to do this now, right? Because we can go to the parks, we can go visit.
But I think it's so popular,
and I think it's so cool that they're still doing it.
Yeah, and the fact that Imagineering is involved in everything, it's just wonderful. So if you head to the link in our show notes, you can get the latest one, and they also have links to the previous ones. And like we said, it sounds like they're going to have some more in the future.
Avast there. It'd be too late to alter course, mateys. And there be trivia questions lurking in every cove, waiting to be answered. Listen close and keep your ruddy Disney knowledge handy. That be the best way to answer correctly. And mark well me words, mateys. Dead men tell no tales. Here comes seeking questions and long-lost Disney information, eh? Sure, you come to the proper place, but keep a weather eye open, mates, and hold on tight with both hands, if you please. There be squalls ahead, and James and Vern waiting for them what don't answer correctly.
Welcome to Trivia Land. I've got 4 questions for you from my observations from our most recent trip to the park. This is why you shouldn't take me to the parks with you, because I'm constantly taking my notes and coming up with some new great trivia stuff.
It's true.
And then a special bonus question with a new feature that I've got for you. Actually came from the meet and greet that we did with some listeners, where I met listener Leanne, who said that she missed some of the geography questions that we were doing quite a bit of. And it inspired me to come up with a new feature question. What queue are you in?
Ooh.
So that's going to be your bonus question for tonight. So let's start off with the first of my observations from our most recent trip to Disneyland. When in a queue at Disneyland, what percentage of the time will Teresa choose the left lane?
Like all of the time.
90%, 95%.
Yeah, like 90 to 95%.
Because every once in a while I get nervous that it's not correct.
So is that your final answers?
Yeah, I'll say 90 to 95.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing.
Okay.
Why is left your thing?
Because nobody ever seems to pick left. It's
I felt like every time we were in a line, everybody was on the left, and the right seemed like the
and
open
the other
one.
thing that's weird too is with the like. So for like Indy, if you think of the actual lines themselves,
Sure.
the physical distance is shorter on the left side than it is on the right side because it wraps out.
For anything
further.
going to the left, yes, but if you're going to the right, that's
Then it's obviously not. But it's people tend to go right because we drive in the right lane. Like when we're walking, we like always go to the right. So we just people
Except for
tend
when
to
we get
go
to the
right.
park, we go to the left.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why we go to the left because
we have to like tell ourselves to go. Like if you ever pay attention, it happened when we were on the Jungle Cruise that there was this huge long line on the right side and there was absolutely nobody in the left because nobody.
But see, you get two problems with that. So one, I think it's because if you come across an area where the line splits and you don't see anybody
Yeah.
in the other lane, you
Yeah.
don't think that that's the lane you're supposed to be in.
Exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, enough conjecture about that.
All right. Question number 2. With an original population of 2018, Rainbow Ridge, the biggest little boom town, now has a population of
2005? Like 50th anniversary, maybe? Or
No, I was
1955?
I was looking at this sign, and it's super cute. I don't remember what the numbers were. So it's got the original one, and then somebody's X'd it off, and then written something under it, and then they X it off again, and then they write something under, and it keeps dwindling.
Oh.
I'm gonna say it's like 13.
Just 13?
There's like nobody that lives there anymore. So you're
Oh, actually, you said 13, and I think you're right, because I remember looking at the sign and thinking, well, that's an unlucky number.
you're welcome. So you're gonna go with
I'll go with
20,
13.
55 or
I'll go with
13?
13.
Okay.
so 13. Final answer
Yeah,
from
I
both
I
of you.
remember. I feel like I remember 33 on there too, but I think that one may have been crossed out.
Because I remember thinking it was, because I didn't read what the sign said. I just saw the numbers, and I thought it was something about the elevator going down, and I was like, elevators never have 13, so that's where I'm getting my answer from.
The elevation. No, I don't know what it. Yeah.
No, the elevator, because they go into
Yeah.
the mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question number 3. In many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, there are 2 ways that they spell honey. What are them?
Hunny.
Yep, Hunny. And then is there one that's just honey, like Honey? And I think one
sure.
of the N's might be backwards. And
I don't, but that's not a spelling issue.
Yeah.
That's just you put.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not counting reversed letters.
okay, I think it's Hunny and then honey,
the proper way.
the correct way.
Honey.
That's your final answers?
Yeah.
And your final regular question before we get into our new feature. How many tractors are in Tow Mater's petting zoo?
In the petting zoo, I think there's just one.
The petting zoo. Is this by Tomater's like thing?
The Junkyard Jamboree.
Yeah. I also think there's just one. For some reason, I was thinking inside of Radiator Springs, and for some reason, I was thinking the giant like baler things that you like tip over, and I was like, I think there's 3 there.
So there's.
But no, you're talking
there's
about
3 tractor. Yeah, there's 3 tipping tractors, and there's
Yeah.
like what's the?
the angry one.
Yeah, I don't remember his name now.
I don't know. I probably need to watch Cars again. But 1, I think, is the answer.
Yeah, I think there's one in the petting zoo.
So you're both saying 1 in the petting zoo?
Yes,
Yes.
because apparently we are totally in sync tonight.
Okay. And for your bonus tonight...
But wait, that wasn't the right. Who's in sync? What's an in sync song?
Oh, goodness.
Bye.
Oh, good. Okay, I did have it right. I was not a boy band
I was
person.
just laughing because you started singing it.
Yeah, of course.
Frank! Yes, thank you, Elijah.
I thought that was 98th Street Boys.
98th Street Boys.
98th Street.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. And your bonus question tonight. Your new feature, What Queue Are You In? You will get 4 clues. If you get it right inside of the first 2 clues, you'll get the full credit point.
Oh.
And if you need all 4 clues, then you get half a point. And if you don't get it right at all, you get 0 points.
Man.
Oh, this is interesting.
All right?
Oh, no pressure.
So, what queue are you in? You can see the castle.
Well, we're in Fantasyland, probably.
Maybe you could also be in Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster's queue outside.
You're true. That's true. That's true.
Now, he said we get the full point within the first 2 clues?
Yep.
So what's the second clue?
You're under a clock tower.
Oh, that sounds like Peter Pan.
That does sound like Peter Pan.
But see, I remember Vern explaining this to me when we were in the park, and he said there's going to be things that seem like they're the right thing, but they count, and like the fourth clue is the thing that really nails it.
Yep.
So, isn't there
the only clock?
Is there a
tower.
clock under? No, I think isn't there a clock over by Snow White now?
The fourth clue is the one that removes all ambiguity.
There you go.
And makes it so that you can't accuse me of trying to be sneaky.
Gotcha.
No, I don't think there's a clock by Snow. She's got new flowers.
I remember seeing a clock on that side of Fantasyland somewhere. Maybe above Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Because it's just very plain. It's almost like the clock we have in our living room at home that's just like stuck on the wall.
Really? Maybe. The only thing when I think clock tower is Peter Pan.
I know, but that's the tricky thing.
I
That's what he's
know.
doing. I'm going to say
Okay, when
Snow
you
White.
say see castle, do you just mean like an itty bitty part of the castle or like the castle?
You can see the castle.
That's not helpful.
That's the whole point. So I'm going to say, and this is an attraction.
It is an attraction.
Okay, I'm going to say Snow White, although it could be Peter Pan. But I think he's trying to get us to do Peter Pan. That's the trick. So I'm going to say,
You're locking in on Snow White?
yeah. What are you going to say? Or do you want another clue and get less points?
I think I need another clue.
Okay, I'm stopping there. Teresa's going for another clue.
Yep.
All right. Third clue. You can see Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
Oh, well, that's
Well, you could do that from Peter Pan as well. Didn't I say, though? I said over
And
there.
because your points won't change
My-
either way,
yeah, my
King
gut's
Arthur
Peter Pan.
Carousel is off to your right.
Oh, good job. It's not Peter Pan.
Wait,
then.
though, if he's... It's
King
off to your
Arthur's
right if you're looking at the
Carousel's off
castle,
to your
though.
Right.
Yeah, but if you're looking at the castle, it'd be off to your left.
Which way are you standing?
Are you
You're
facing the
looking
castle?
at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. King Arthur Carousel is to your right.
That's both.
You're under a clock tower, and you can see the castle.
I'm going to stick with Peter Pan.
Okay.
Teresa's going with Peter Pan.
Yeah, that was my gut.
I'm sticking
I'm
with my
sticking.
Snow White.
I still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Watch, it's like...
I mean, we will.
It's like Toad. Like
Oh, maybe.
Pinocchio. I don't think... Does Pinocchio have a clock? I'm rethinking all of the things I thought I knew about that area.
There you go.
All right, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Do you think you've got the right answers? Do you think they got the right answers? Keep listening after tonight's discussion topic to find out.
This week for our discussion topic, we are answering some listener-submitted questions. We asked a few episodes ago for you guys to submit some questions, and we got some pretty decent response. So we're going to quickly go through and answer some questions that you guys have asked us.
First, a big shout out, though, to listener Chris M., who had actually came up with this idea, and she was the one that got this whole thing going. So thank you very much, Chris. She did, of course, enter in some of her own questions as well that we will, of course, answer. So thank you again to Chris.
So there's really no rhyme or reason. We kind of just have a whole list of questions here. So we're just going to start at the top and work our way down. Some of it might seem out of order because there's some questions about like how we met and the backstory, which maybe we should start with, but it's kind of in a random order. So we're just going to go in the order to make sure we don't miss any questions. So the first question we got was, I don't remember if you've mentioned this before, but there's a silly question I have for you. How did you both meet? Were we relatives, coworkers? Did you find each other through Disney? I've always been curious because of your great chemistry as hosts, sweet and salty, especially tonight.
I laughed so hard at that, the sweet and salty thing. That was...
Well, you're
That was
sweet
great.
and I'm salty. You compliment each other well, and I enjoy your banter and two different points of view. So how did we meet, Teresa?
So, long story short, we met through mutual friends. Tag knew a friend of mine, and I was drugged to a party that Tag was hosting by my friend, and I, begrudgingly went because I'm like, I don't know anybody at this party. I don't know
He didn't
who's
either.
hosting it. It was just like, oh gosh, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe this sounds weird since we do the podcast, but I'm not very outgoing normally. So going to a place filled with people I didn't know just did not sound fun to me, but I was trying to be a good friend to my friend Ryan. So I went with him, and yeah, that's how Tag and I met. We
actually ended up talking more.
We did. We hit it off and talked a ton that night. I even have a photo of us from that first night that we met at that party. So yeah, it was that was kind of it. And it was history from there. We have worked together a couple of times since then. We didn't even know that we were both interested in Disney at first, and kind of found that out later down the road, because being a Midwest Disney nerd is kind of a weird thing here. So we weren't really outward about it. We're obviously way more outward about it now because of the podcast, but it wasn't something that came up that first night that we met.
And I asked Teresa to do the podcast because I knew that like she was really good with people, because we had worked in customer service together, and I knew she was really great with people, and she was super friendly and had that kind of demeanor of like that bright happiness that sometimes I'm just more to the point and kind of bland. So I was like, I think it'd be good. And we both had the passion for it, and we both enjoyed and got into crazy. You could ask producers, James and Vern. We both have that same high energy level when it comes to Disney, which sometimes could be a little radioactive, perhaps, with the amount of energy moving around. So
yeah, it definitely, we build off each other.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think. I was going to try and pull up when it was that we met. Was it
2009.
Was it 9? Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking. So, yeah, we've been friends since 2009.
Yeah. In fact, we went on a trip that same year, because was it 2009 or 10?
That year? I don't remember. But, yeah, we did a road trip, and we drove out to
New York.
Yeah. So, next question was, I love Disneyland because of the way it makes me feel. When or where in the parks do the feels hit you the most? Of course, going past the turnstiles, but for this listener, it's anytime that there is a live show or live music. I feel like I have more feels for Disneyland than I do in DCA, but let's be fun and do it for both.
So for Disneyland, I feel like the place I always seem to have the most like emotional response is actually when I'm leaving, because I always do my thing. I turn around as I'm about to go into the thing. I kind of take one last look, and then I kind of like do my little salute thing, and I'm like, until next time, and I turn around and I don't look back, and I just walk out.
It's really funny. You just like beelines out. And
well,
here I am trying to take all these pictures, and you're like, nope, we're done.
because that's just kind of how I want to, I've said goodbye.
Yeah.
Or until next time, and that's that. So that's, which is weird, because you'd think it'd be like entering. A lot of people get it when they enter and all this stuff, but it's leaving for me. And for DCA, Radiator Springs Racers, when you go through the thing and the music hits the top and that waterfall appears out of nowhere, chills every time. So those, I think, are two things that always get me.
That's good. For Disneyland, I have a couple. So the first day is
surprise.
The first day, we'll be honest, is just a ball of emotions, and I'm like bouncing off the sides of everything like a kid that ate way too much sugar. But I really like what always is like very emotional for me is, of course, very exciting to go through the turnstiles and like that anticipation of finally getting in. But when you're in Town Square and you're just the first glimpses of Main Street, and then you round the corner and then there's the castle, I always have to like stop and like have a little like type of moment. So yeah. And then usually the hub, I get that same like super giddiness when I get to the hub.
So many possibilities.
Yep. Well, just like, because then you're close to the castle
Sure.
and the partner statue, and it's just like, it just, yeah. The other thing, fireworks. The shows also really hit me in the feels, but there's just, the fireworks show is just magical and just fun, and like, I feel like it just really kind of like is the perfect way to like conclude and end like a fun-filled Disney day. Because even if you had a terrible experience and waited in the heat for far too long for an attraction that wasn't worth, whatever. Like, even if you had some sort of bumps in your day, the fireworks, like, just that kind of conclusion of the night with the fireworks and all the energy from that show.
I don't think I've ever had a bad fireworks experience.
Because even the shows that I don't even think I've ever had a fireworks show that I was like, really? I don't know. Because, everyone's a critic.
Even their worst show is better than other people's best shows.
Exactly. So, and there's something about, I know I've been talking about this so much, but there's just something about this current show, Mickey's Mix Magic. It's just so fun. It's just so fun.
I wish it was longer. It's one of the shorter ones
it is one
in
of
my
the
recent
shorter
time.
ones, yeah, but it's just so fun. Like, everyone on Main Street's dancing, and the fun thing is right, a bunch of adults. I feel like the kids were like more self-conscious about dancing than the adults were, but there was so many cheers and like claps and just lots of excitement.
It is one of the few places I feel like as an adult you can just totally be goofy and nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly.
What about DCA? I know this one's going to be harder for you.
It is harder. I don't quite have the
Pixar parfait.
Yeah, it's the parfait. I don't quite have. It's the fun wheel. I think I get very like the like giddy moment for me is the like seeing the fun.
The pal around, huh? Or seeing it.
Like seeing it.
Oh,
like
okay.
Seeing it against the water, and I just really love the nighttime thing there. Oh, and my new favorite thing, the lighting ceremony for Cars Land.
Oh yeah. That seems to be like something you really enjoy.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
So your first ride of the day is traditionally Indiana Jones. Is there a perfect end to your Disneyland day? Now, if it's on the last day, generally I would say Indiana Jones, but the last time we had some problems, so I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that being that, at least this last trip. Matterhorn was actually a really cool end to the trip too, because it was kind of thrilling.
I'm not as worried about what my final ride is. There's rides and attractions that I want to make sure that I do on my last day, but I'm not very specific about the last ride of the trip needs to be this. I tend to go for like more of like the e-ticket style ones. Like I don't think I'd end a trip with Splash Mountain because I don't want to walk out of the park soggy. A non e-ticket that I'd end my day with would be I'd end with like Haunted or Pirates. That would be okay because I feel like those are just so classic. But yeah, probably I did like doing Matterhorn. Matterhorn at night's just fun.
Yeah.
Indy's of course always fun. But it was, I almost prefer, don't chastise me for this, but I almost preferred ending with Matterhorn just because when you end, you have to walk through more of the park to get back to the gate versus...
Well, then you should do Smuggler's Run because then you walk through the whole park.
Exactly. But that was kind of fun to like walk up from behind the castle, have some time right in front of the castle. You kind of had this like more drawn out exit to the park because you're exiting is longer, I guess, than it was for Indy.
I would say, now that I've thought about it for a little bit longer, the perfect end for me would be if I had time and people with me that were okay with this, I'd kind of just like to sit on Main Street and be one of the last people out of the park, like just people watch. And I feel like the last few times, this time was our first time back in Disneyland for over a year, so it was really high energy and whatever. And so... I feel like maybe when we're there in September, we'll have a moment like that where we're a little more chill about it. Same thing with when we go for your wedding. Like we'll also have maybe that kind of thing where, because when there was the one night during D23 that was just you and me in the park, because everybody else had gone back to the hotel, and it was just so chill.
Yep.
And we were just like, we're just at our happy place. Like it's cool, man. We're just in Disneyland.
Yep. We for sure can do that for Oogie for this upcoming September trip because flight times. We have a later flight time
That's true.
out, so it's not like we have to get up at the crack of dawn to catch a flight. So that's another thing too.
So 3.
Would you consider moving to California?
I'll let you answer this one.
So I do at some point, and don't worry, this is not a surprise to Vern or Tag. I do at some point want to leave the Midwest and get myself closer to Disneyland. Do I want to live in California? The gut answer is heck yes, because then I'm right there next to Disneyland. But the logical brain side of me is like, but it's really expensive to live there, and it's really this or it's really that. So I might find some sort of happy medium, move out west, be closer to Disneyland, but it might not specifically be Southern California. I almost would you're going to think this is ridiculous because this is where you're from. I would almost want to do maybe Northern California just because it doesn't seem to be as people heavy in Northern California as it is in Southern California, and there just seems
depending
to be,
where you are,
the redwoods and that kind of stuff. So
because you guys like the
we like nature. Mm-hmm.
I will say, my stance for a long time has been I'll never live in California again because I've lived there and I'm over it. But I had a real kick of nostalgia when we were driving through there. I drove James out to the beach.
Oh,
and I was and driving to and from the beach, I was just having this whole nostalgia overload. And I was like, I remember all these places and I loved, and it brought back all those memories. And I was like, I kind of miss here a little bit. which I haven't since I've moved to the Midwest. And I was kind of like, I kind of miss the familiarity and all the memories that were here, because since I've been back, it's all been in kind of Disneyland, which I have a lot of memories of too. But when I went back for like visiting up in Northern California was when we had the fires, and I was worried about people with fires, and I saw a lot of burnt out town that I'm familiar with. So we also went to San Diego on our trip, and
I like
James
San Diego.
even liked San Diego. So I feel like our best bet would be to probably do something in an area like San Diego that's like really nice, but still feels kind of small, because James thought it felt still kind of small town, even though it's a big city. So maybe.
Except when we were like in the little Italy area, that definitely felt like big
Yeah.
city to me.
So if you could design an attraction, what would it be, and where in the parks would it go?
Okay, so I'm cheating.
Okay.
I'm designing a land.
Oh, I mean, that's
I'm
the way.
going to get in trouble with some Star Wars fans, and I'm going to do right. Sky's the limit. I can do whatever I want. I'm going to move Galaxy's Edge, and I'm going to somehow get it shifted into Tomorrowland without like. I don't want to completely get rid of Tomorrowland, but I want Galaxy's Edge to like live in Tomorrowland as well. And I'm going to take the space that was Galaxy's Edge, and that needs to be the villains. The villains need to have their own space, and it needs to be where Galaxy's Edge is, because I think it's just so perfect that Galaxy's Edge is outside of the like the train loop and like
Sure,
the
the
core of
berm.
the park. So it's kind of like they're the outsiders out there, kind of like lurking. And yeah, I just think villains type theme attractions would be so much fun. Or Coco. That's my other one. I really want a Coco Dark Ride.
I
in
think we're on
GCA.
the same page, because I would also build, if I didn't do a land, I would do a villains attraction. I think you could do an attraction. You could almost do like they were originally thinking for like Indy, where you could have like 3 attractions all using the same space and they're all like intertwined. That would be super cool.
There you go.
I do like the idea of villains. I think villains should be more represented in the park, because people love the villains actually.
Well, and so I do see both sides of yay villains and maybe we don't want to highlight the bad guys.
Sure.
I think you need to be specific as to what villains you are like
I suppose
highlighting, because there are some Disney villains that are just there's just nothing redeemable about
Well,
them.
you could. Have you seen the Descendants on the Disney Channel at all? The show,
Yes.
The Descendants. The Descendants aren't necessarily bad. You could do something like that.
Yep. There you go.
And we're in the parks. I'd probably get rid of Toontown, even though we're about to have Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway back there. I'd put it in the Toontown area.
I don't think that's enough room. I need more space for
Yeah.
my villains. That's why poor Galaxy's Edge is getting relocated. So, let's see. If you had unlimited access to a special place in the park, what would you nerd out over seeing? This person is obsessed with Walt's apartment.
Club 33.
Yes, that was my answer too. I was really thinking about this because, right, I want to experience the Lily
Yep.
Bell. I want to experience Walt's apartment. I want to experience the Dream Suite.
Yep. Oh, that's a good one too.
But Club 33, because with it being unlimited access, I feel like there's a lot going on and a
Yeah.
lot to see and do an experience in Club 33. Whereas, like, the Lily Bell, I'm not going to, or like the apartment, I don't want to say it's like a one and done thing, but I feel like I can get a lot out of one visit to those places, whereas I would get a lot more out of multiple visits to Club 33.
Yeah. If you knew it was your last ever trip to Disneyland, which is the saddest thing ever to think about, by the way, and you could only experience one attraction, what would it be?
This is an impossible question.
Did you watch the last episodes of the attraction behind the attraction
yet.
show? So the Space Mountain one was really cool because at the end, like everybody pretty much agreed that was on that episode that like Space Mountain is like the attraction that if they could just pick one attraction,
Really?
Space Mountain.
I don't think my one attraction would be Space Mountain. I really like the immersion of dark rides and the thrill of like e-tickets. So like Radiator Springs Racer to me is like such a perfect attraction
Yeah.
because it does both elements very well. Indiana Jones would be another one that does both like the dark ride feel but the thrill of an e-ticket the same.
I'm going
I
to pick
just
something
don't
crazy.
know.
I'm going to pick something crazy. So it's our last trip, and you can only experience one attraction. I think with those properties that you have to like those limitations, I think I would do the train because then you get to at least see the whole park.
That's
You
a
know, you
good
get
one.
a tour of it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was the most depressing question ever.
Well,
Thanks,
let's move
Chris.
on.
what do you do for work outside the podcast?
So I run my own like IT consulting business for like nonprofits. I do stuff with the podcast. That's not really like a job necessarily, but that's kind of my thing right now. And I go to school. I'm trying to get my degree before December.
And my like real job is I am basically a bank or a manager, a branch manager for a credit union locally here. And so that's my like I said, that's my real job. Other things that I do that are kind of sort of work, but I just do them really because I enjoy them. Of course, the podcast, but I also have a small soap making business. So I make handmade soaps and different bath products. And then we also have a dog sitting business. So Vern and I will watch other people's puppies and hang out with them while their owners are on vacation, which is super, super fun.
Yeah. You do too much.
I do.
I get tired just thinking about it. So what's the update on the wedding planning? I can't even answer this one.
So update on the wedding planning. There, I have my my wedding planner. So for quick little backstory. So if you are planning a Disney wedding, part of the stuff like that you get with that is you get a wedding planner as well as a day of coordinator, which is pretty amazing and is honestly one of the reasons we're like, yep, we're doing that, because wedding planning just I don't think is a strong suit of mine. But I had my first meeting with Michelle, who is our wedding planner. She's been doing it. I think she's been planning weddings at Disneyland for 10 or more years. So very comfortable, feel very good having her help us through this. But we're just kind of in the beginning stages, really. So it was a really good meeting. She gave me a lot of information. She didn't give me a ton of pressure, like, why don't you have all these things already figured out? You've had
I think she
forever.
understands.
Oh yeah, you know. So she did a really good job because we're having a smaller wedding. So, and she's very respectful towards that. So not pushing me into doing some crazy over the top extravagant, why aren't you getting the Cinderella coach and, all that kind of add-on.
Sure.
It's not sales feeling at all, which
That's
is
good.
Amazing.
Very Disney feeling.
Yes, exactly. She's 100% there and supportive of us. And she gave me a ton of great options of different things to do that aren't normally like advertised for Disney weddings. And she's like, since you guys have a smaller group, this might make more sense for you. So here, take a look at these options and different menus that aren't typically the quote unquote wedding menu. So yeah, anyway, so it's going well. It's interesting trying to plan a destination wedding, but it's a lot of fun because it's Disney. So I don't really know if I can make the wrong decision.
True.
So, next question. How does Disneyland compare currently and pre-COVID times? Better, worse? And also, do you feel like the Disney magic isn't as strong without characters being able to meet in person and up close with guests along with any other COVID precautions?
So, this one, I had an answer for this one before we went, and now I have a different answer after we've gone.
Yeah.
But basically, when we went for Touch of Disney, which was totally not like regular going to the park, I thought it was pretty nice, although there weren't any attractions or anything. When we went to Disney World, I thought that Disney World was way better because we went in August in the middle of the pandemic before there was a vaccine or anything, and they were really low on attendance and all that stuff.
Yes, and they did a great job with all the safety precautions.
Yes. However, I felt when we were there, it was basically back to pre-COVID crowds. It felt that way anyway.
It felt a little hectic, but I'm going to blame that more on time because we were there in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
So typically when we visit the parks, like pre-COVID times, we would avoid summer. And like D23 was the closest we got to being like in the parks during quote unquote summer.
Right.
So it had been a while since either of us had been in the parks with like kids out of school and, more families and all that. So obviously that's just, it's just different.
With the magic being strong without the characters, I think that what I liked this time was I felt like, yes, I could not get close to the characters or like stand next to them and take a picture like directly next to them. But I feel like they had a lot more characters out and more variety. Mm-hmm. So actually, I preferred the characters we had this time. Plus, you could get pictures with them. You could have multiple people and not be in each other's shots and still get like the character behind you because, they're 6 feet away. So you could have 4 or 5 groups all taking pictures with the character in the background. So I actually think it was a net positive.
Yeah, I prefer it as well. I feel like it felt more spontaneous and more like you just like rounded the corner and, oh, look, it's Geppetto and Pinocchio. It wasn't like, well, hang on, we got to be over at the small world area at this time because they're only going to be here from here then to then, and you got to wait in this long line and da-da-da-da. Like, it felt like there was less pressure. I think from what I could see of like children and family interactions, it felt more organic and more spontaneous for them as well, and much more exciting because standing and waiting in line while you're like seeing the character talk to all these other kids and you're trying to be patient, I'm sure is impossible feeling for some for some children, especially if it's your like number one favorite character. So I think it was a lot more. It's just much more relaxed. I liked it a lot.
As someone who has a Disneyland trip planned in September, what advice would you give, if any, to someone entering the park for the first time in about 2 years?
So my advice would be, try not to put too much pressure on yourself in the day. Yes, the app is a good resource to use as far as figuring out wait times or whatever, but don't get sucked into it. It's there if you need it, but just kind of go with your gut. The most enjoyable time that we had at the parks is when we just do our normal flow of things. And sometimes does that work out well for wait times? Yes, heck yes. Other times does it not? Also, heck yes. But it's just more, it just feels more relaxed and you just have more fun. If you're trying to do things, we were talking about this actually, how boarding passes kind of threw this weird loop into our normal flow of stuff. Same thing with mobile ordering and having specific times you had to be certain places kind of disrupted the flow of our day. We really like just kind of going with the Disney winds. I would say try to have like a loose plan, but don't get upset if that plan doesn't happen 100%.
Yeah, I would say if we were to go back and do it again, I would say after we got the boarding passes for the two big attractions, I would say that maybe we shouldn't have tried for one of the days and then just let it be like, because what ended up happening, well, the first day we had to rush back to Galaxy's Edge, and so then we started back there and it was weird, and you commented, and I agreed with you, that it felt like we just did a whole bunch of nothing in the beginning of the day, that first day, which is normally not the case.
It was the first day, the morning was a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah. And then the mobile ordering was tough sometimes because you wanted to get this specific thing for lunch, but the window was like 2 hours from now, so you'd order it, and then you're kind of like trying to still kind of stay where you were. So I would just say, just be aware of that and try to go with the flow as much as you can, although sometimes you can't.
Were you able to ride Rise of the Resistance, and was your experience better than it was for your Disney World trip?
Yes. We were able to ride it 3 different times, and the experience this time was much better. I really enjoyed the attraction, and because of the fact that we had some of those little minor problems with Indy, I actually thought that Rise was probably one of my favorite attractions this time.
Oh, there you go.
But I don't know if it'll... Like, if Indy was operating properly, like the boulder and everything was working, I think I'd still like Indy, because I just like Indiana Jones a lot.
Yeah. And
I like Star Wars as well. I guess I just have, like, that history and the nostalgia with the Indiana Jones attraction.
Well, the thing that's... now that you were sitting here talking about the two, and I'm thinking and, like, comparing them in my head, you would think that they should be the same, right? Because you have this very immersive queue that you're waiting for that's, like, getting you, like, in the mindset and in the correct, like, feel or whatever for the world that you're about to go explore, whether that's the Temple of Doom or wherever we are in
Batu,
all over the place. Yeah. So you would think that they should be pretty similar feels, but I agree with you. There's something a little bit more magical for me about Indy, and I don't know what that is. Don't get me wrong. I do think Rise of the Resistance is amazing. It's one of the better, if not the best, like new Disney attractions.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have that same feeling. I guess I don't know why, because like it's still it's exciting and it's thrilling and it's it's this and it's that. Maybe it's because like Indy, you're constantly moving, whereas you've got like you move and then you stop. Like it's kind of like start and stop and start and stop.
Oh, sure.
In the Rise
I
of the
think it'll
Resistance
feel
attraction.
different too when you can do standby. Because then it's like,
That's true.
because one of the downers right now is you have all this stress to get the
That's
boarding
true.
group,
That
and then
is
you have to
true.
be there at a certain time. And I think if you could get into the idea. The first day we did it was actually the best because we actually waited a little bit in that outdoor part of the queue, which started to help you get into the immersion, where I felt like we were a little bit faster the other times we went through.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
if you could live, this is, I feel, right up your alley, Teresa. If you could live at any Disney resort hotel, which one would you choose and why? It can be at Disneyland or anywhere else Disney, and you could add in some vacation homes too if you like.
Ooh. So I think my home would be the Disneyland hotel. I just really love the retro and the nostalgia of the hotel itself. I will be very transparent and let everyone know I have not actually stayed at the Disneyland hotel. This is just my idealized version of it. We are staying there though next year. One of our presents to ourselves for the wedding is we are staying at the Disneyland hotel. So I'm super excited about that. But I just I like where it's located. It's close, but it's not in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
I like that I can just get on the monorail and just zip on into the park if I wanted to, or I can take my time and walk through downtown Disney. But I just like it's just very, how do I want to say it? It's just very Disney. It's very classic Disney to me. The Grand Californian is beautiful, but I don't feel as Disney with that one, if that makes sense. I just love the fireworks and the castles on the beds, the bed frame things and all that kind of stuff. Plus, the nostalgia of the site and stuff. If I then had vacation homes, one of my vacation homes would be, I don't remember what it's called, you can correct me, but I would like a vacation home at the Disneyland Paris hotel that's looks into the park.
Oh, the Disneyland hotel.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's the Disneyland hotel. I'd like one of my vacation homes there, and I would also like a vacation home at Alani.
I'm sorry, Disneyland people, but both of my options are at Disney World.
Really?
So I have always loved the Contemporary.
Oh, sure.
I love the idea of the Contemporary. I love the shape of it. I love just everything about it. I love the monorail goes through it.
Yep.
It's just, ever since I first saw it so on my way home from high school, or even maybe middle school, there was a travel agency, and sometimes I would go in there and I'd grab the little pamphlets, and they'd have Disney World ones, and I'd look and I'd be like, oh, I want to go here so bad.
Yeah.
And they had the Contemporary and stuff. The other one would be the Grand Floridian, because as we saw in San Diego, I really like that architectural style of the Hotel del Coronado. It's very similar for the Grand Floridian. So I love that style of the red roofs with the white building. Yeah. Looks great. But having been inside of both of those in Disney World, I still think the Contemporary edges out because the monorail goes through the middle of it. That's so cool. Although Alani would also be kind of cool. I just don't have a connection. Maybe it's the price sticker shock for me for Disneyland hotels.
Yeah. That
I could stay just as close across the street for a quarter of the price.
Well, I'm living there, so I don't have to pay the nightly rate.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, next question. Do we have siblings, and are they into Disney too, and are your parents into Disney?
So I have two older brothers and my mom. And my mom took me to my first Disneyland thing with my middle brother Brian, and everybody has that they like Disney. I don't think they're obsessed with Disney like I am. My mom regrets ever taking me because I had built models and become obsessed, and she likes it now. And she actually, when she was out and about, was trying to give business cards from our podcast to people and stuff like that. Two older brothers, they're average Disney interest, I guess, and my mom likes Disney, but she got irritated with my obsession with it when I was younger. How about you?
So, yes, I have a younger brother. I would say no, he is not into Disney quite
At
like
all?
I am. A little bit, but
Okay.
he's not a let's go to the parks multiple times. He's kind of a one and done kind of person. I've been there.
Oh, okay.
That kind of a thing. Are my parents into Disney? So this is kind of funny. My dad, a few years back, because this was when I was really getting into Disney and was able to convince and figure out multiple, get lots of trips in. Because the first time I went to Disneyland was when I believe I was in 6th grade. So I forget what age a sixth grader is, but I was in sixth grade. Growing up in the Midwest, going all the way out to California just wasn't, we didn't do that very frequently. But I have family in Arizona, and my aunt, I have an aunt that's super into Disney just like me. So I think the excuse was my sixth grade graduation was why we went. It was some ridiculous, not really a good excuse, but it worked kind of a thing. So that was the first trip. And then ever since then I was hooked. So then I would try to figure out, we're visiting our family in Arizona. Disneyland's it's like a 6-hour drive. It's not that far, So anyways, I somehow then was able to convince and get more Disneyland trips in for my family. And my dad got burnt out a little bit, and he was kind of like, I'm over it. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. However, I will say once we started the podcast and he came out with us and did the Oogie Boogie Bash in 2019 with myself and other family, he's back on the Disney bandwagon now. I wouldn't say that they'd go take trips on their own to Disney parks, but he's re-seeing the magic, and I think my mom just thinks it's fun and exciting as well. Again, I don't think they'd be taking their own personal Disneyland trips or Disney parks trips, but
they're excited to go with you.
Yes, yeah, they really like the excitement and like the feel and like the nerdy knowledge that I now bring. And it's fun because I have cousins that have littler kids, so it's really fun taking them and like watching them experience and do things too. So it's just, kind of revitalized for them.
So we kind of hinted on this, but we can give kind of a recap quick of what's your Disney story. Did you basically just give your Disney story?
I kind of gave my Disney story, yeah.
So my Disney story is almost what I gave too, is my mom took me when I was like 7 or 8, maybe 9, and it was with my middle brother, and we went and we stayed at the Travel Lodge, and tickets were like $29 for like a 5-day park. It was ridiculously inexpensive. Yeah. And fell in love with it, and every time I went back, I loved it more and more. I was there the first year I ever went. Splash Mountain opened. I remember being there the year in 1992 because they had the Lion King stuff going on. I remember being there in 95 because Indiana Jones opened. Then I didn't go for a while, and I went for I went around 2001 with a friend of mine for a graduation gift for him. We went and had a good time, and that got me back into it. And then I found out about annual passes, and I got an annual pass, and I went a lot until I moved out of California. And then I didn't go back until 2012. I moved out of California in 2007. So that was a long time as well. And then once we started the podcast, of course, I've been back a couple times. It's been awesome. It was never one of the things that I always try to clarify people on, and Teresa gives me a little bit of crap for this too when we do like trivia and stuff in the chat about movies, is I'm not really a Disney movie person, really. I just love the Disney theme parks a lot. So a lot of my knowledge is just Disney theme parks, not the different movies and stuff. So when we have trivia about movies, Teresa's always like, you haven't seen that or you don't know that? I'm like, no, I was just always going to the park. So that's kind of my Disney story. I also think we talked about our Disney story, back on like episode 1 or something, didn't we?
I think so, yeah.
Or episode 2.
The other part of my Disney story is my first Disney park was actually Walt Disney World. And I don't even know how, I was little. Like, I want to say maybe like 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. Probably like 6 or 7 though. And I have very like faint memories of that. But for whatever reason, I don't know if this was from that trip or why we had this, but we had some sort of travel like promo VHS for, I don't remember if it was for Walt Disney World or Disneyland, but I watched that thing like it was a normal movie. I watched that stupid promo travel video so often. I remember it had like scenes of the Haunted Mansion and Tower of Terror and like all sorts of different things. And I just thought it was like this amazing magical place. So that was a weird, like, that's burned into my memory. Watching that video is burned into my memory more than my like original first trip to a Disney park.
My uncle gave me a VHS copy of the Muppets Go to Disney World, and that was burned into my memory for a long time because the Muppets are awesome, and they're like at Disney World.
What are your favorite rides at the Florida parks?
This one's tough.
I'm gonna say I really enjoy, like, I think the Kilimanjaro Safari is really amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I think Expedition Everest is super fun and cool. But I also really like the 2 rides over in Pandora a lot.
Yeah.
They're very cool and very immersive and very different.
I think classic, and this is going to be heresy, I'm sure, but I I really like Big Thunder Mountain at the Magic Kingdom. I like our ending better, but I like their track better. I like there's a whole section that kind of wobbles back and forth stuff that I really like. I think I'm with you. I like Kilimanjaro Safaris. I like Animal Kingdom in general as a park. I thought it was really done well. And Pandora is also very good. I mean, that's all Animal Kingdom. So that's what I would say. So what's your favorite ride at DCA?
That's a tough one. I think it'd be a toss-up between probably Radiator Springs Racers is my favorite DCA ride. I was going to say it's a toss-up between that and Guardians of the Galaxy, but if I had to choose one or the other, I'd probably do Racers.
I like Radiator Springs Racers. A close second for me would be the Incredicoaster. I really like the Incredicoaster.
Oh, the Incredicoaster is pretty fun. I'm not a roller coaster person, but I really like that roller coaster. You wouldn't find me at Universal or Six Flags doing any of those roller coasters, but there's something about the Incredicoaster.
It's smoother.
It is smoother. It's exhilarating, but it's not terrifying. Because there's some of those that I'm looking at, I'm like, no, I am not going on that and doing that weird drop that's no. Are there, oh goodness sakes, are there any restaurants in Disneyland and DCA that you haven't eaten at yet? Yes.
I feel like there's a lot of restaurants I haven't eaten at.
There are definitely restaurants that okay, so let me think about Disneyland.
I know Club 33.
The only thing I've done at Carnation Cafe is breakfast. I've not done a lunch or dinner at Carnation Cafe. And the River Belle Terrace. I've never eaten at the River Belle Terrace.
I've never eaten at...
Or Hungry Bear. I've not eaten at Hungry Bear.
Docking Bay 7? What did we order at Docking Bay 7?
Coffee. I don't think that counts.
So I have not eaten at Docking Bay 7. And I think that's it. I think I've eaten at some trip. Yeah. At some trip in my various visits. The other one I was going to say was the restaurant that's in the middle of Tomorrowland, but we used to get breakfast there all the time when we went with my mom and stuff.
Grill.
Yeah. So I think just Docking Bay 7. In DCA, we ate at the Trattoria thing. Wasn't that at Touch of Disney? Wasn't that one of the things we ate at?
Yeah, I don't know if that counts though, because that's not their normal menu stuff. I have the Trattoria.
Oh, and we did eat at
What's
Carthay
the
Circle.
place that's in the... I've not eaten at the... what is that stuff in the back?
Oh, the Paradise Garden Grill?
Yeah, I've not eaten at Paradise Garden Grill.
We should do that during Oogie Boogie. If it's open.
Cocina Cucamonga, I only have had because of Touch of Disney, so I don't know if that counts or not. It was tacos still.
Lucky Fortune Cookery?
Yep, I've not eaten at Lucky Fortune Cookery.
I think that's it.
I think so too, because Flo's would have been on that list, but I had Flo's last time. Flo's was good. That might have to be a new DCA. I've not Poultry Palace. I've not eaten at Poultry Palace.
Angry Dogs?
I'm not done Angry Dogs either. No.
Yeah, because those are kind of newer. All right, I know you counted this beforehand. What's the cumulative ear count for you guys?
What do you think my ear count is, Tag? I was shocked.
27.
I counted my ears and I surprised myself.
27.
You think I have a total of 27 ears? So we're counting.
Maybe 30.
We're counting my Disney, like Disney ears, and also my All Enchanting ears. So for my All Enchanting ears, I have 11 pairs of All Enchanting ears that are fabulous and wonderful. For my Disney ears, though, I have 26 pairs of Disney ears.
Just
I have
Disney
a
ears.
grand total of 37 ears. How do I have that many and I still feel like I don't have any? That's crazy. Teresa alone, 37 ears.
I have 2, 3, 4, probably have 14 ears. So counted to your how many?
37.
51.
51 total ears. Isn't that nuts?
That's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
All right,
Absolutely crazy.
entering the home stretch.
So how did you and James meet?
So James and I met working at the news station locally here. He was the news producer, and I worked floor crew, which operates in-studio cameras and does the teleprompter and does on-screen graphics during the newscast. We met there. I had a party. It was funny.
Not the same party.
Not the same party. I had a party that I invited James to because I wanted his friend Kara, who I worked with, to come, and I didn't think she'd come if I didn't invite James. James
was a pity invite?
James took it as a sign that I wanted him to come and was really interested in him. So she left fairly early on, and he was the last one at the party at the end of the night. So the rest is history, I guess. So there's a funny story in there, too, that I'll say, because I'm sure Teresa will share her story of her and Vern next here. But it was funny because, for those of you who may not know, James and I are married. And I don't think we've ever, like, just out-said it on the podcast, because it's not something that we normally, like, it's not a big deal to, like, there's no reason that anybody on the podcast needs to know anything about us and our personal lives. But when we got engaged, we were on the cruise ship. We were on the Carnival Splendor. And it was so funny because it was our dress-up night. And I said to him, I had the ring in my pocket. And I was walking around all outside and everything. And then I knew he knew I was going to ask. So I was trying to be shady about it, and so I was pulling stuff out of my pocket thinking like, oh, I'll throw him off by handing him random stuff because he'll think I'm pulling out a ring, but I'm not. So I handed him like our room key and all this other crap, and then I pulled out the thing, and I turned to him, and James likes this story, so that's why I'm telling it. I said, you know what I'm going to ask? And he looks at me and he goes, ask it, because it's such a tag thing, right? That's like whatever. So I asked him to marry me, and we lived happily ever after that. Our honeymoon was in Disneyland, for those of you wondering. And
for the 60th.
For the 60th. So that, and that was the only other time James and I, up until this last trip, that we had been to Disneyland together. We've been to Disney World once together as well. So you and I have been to Disneyland together more than James and I have been.
Yeah. I'm trying
and we're tied with Disney World visits.
I'll have to think, because Vern and I have done, I'll have to count how many trips Vern and I have done. So we've done more than one trip.
Complimentary to that question, how did you and Vern meet?
So Vern and I met kind of sort of through mutual friends. I was invited by a mutual friend to like go out and have a drink with them, and we went to this local bar, and Vern just happened to be the bartender. Now, the reason that the mutual friend chose that bar was because they were friends with Vern, so they wanted to go like to the bar that they, whatever. So it was really fun. He worked at a, meeting in a bar sounds kind of weird. It's more of like a pool hall. So it's not kind of like this weird, creepy, like hole in the wall spot. It's a pretty fun place. You've been up there, but there's,
as far as bars go in our area, it's not a bad bar.
Yeah. Tons of like, it's more of a pool hall. Anyway, so we met there, and Vern at the time, like we weren't looking to like find anyone, so we were just friends for a while, and we actually kept kind of randomly bumping into each other for quite a while later, and then it was maybe that may have gone on for like a year or so, and then he on Valentine's Day of 2010 he randomly
such a cliche.
He randomly asked me out, and I was actually out of town. I was visiting my family back home, so our first date was the day after Valentine's Day. So that's how Vern and I met.
And do you want to tell your engagement story, since I told my engagement story?
Sure. So our engagement story was nothing as weird and pockets full of stuff as Tags was. But our engagement story, we got engaged December 25th, so Christmas Day of 2019.
What is with your Valentine's, Christmas?
Yeah, I don't know.
You have a holiday thing.
So anyways, it was funny because I told Vern, I'm like, I don't know about this whole people getting, and not like I didn't want to steer him away from it. It was just a generic like, getting engaged on a holiday is kind of tacky, whatever. But so he did it really well. It was really thoughtful, because it was actually the first Christmas that I wasn't going to be spending with my parents. So it was a little tough for me because it was just not feeling super Christmassy for me. So anyway, so it was just Vern and I at home with the dogs, of course, and we finished opening up all the presents under the tree, and there was one present left, and Vern was being kind of weird about it, and he's like, "Are you sure you want to open that now?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't have to." So anyway,
was he getting cold feet because of your like? It's so tacky to have.
No. He had this grand plan of like, we'd open presents in the evening, and he'd take that one with to the Rotary lights, and So, anyways, I apparently accidentally changed the plans, but so I opened the present, and it was a pair of Disney ears, and not only just any pair of Disney ears, it was Disney bridal ears. And I'll be honest, and Vern knows this, I was like sitting there and looking at them, and I was confused because I was like, why would he buy me bridal ears? Does he not know what these ears are for? I know that he likes ears. I was really, he knows that I like ears, so it's really nice of him. But this is really what? Like, I was just very confused, and like in my confused like state, I'm like, this is kind of weird that I've just been staring at these ears and haven't said anything for a while. However, it was perfect because when I looked up, that he was on one knee with the ring, and I don't remember exactly what he said because I was like confused about the ears and then like in shock, and he said something like, will you wear these like down Main Street with me as my wife or something like that. It was very sweet. And so yeah, that's our engagement story. And now our engagement has been prolonged because, as you all know, our wedding did have to get postponed out for a year because of the pandemic.
There's another funny part of this that involves me afterwards. So Teresa invited us over to like give us our Christmas presents. So James and I come over, and Teresa's like, the thing you do, waving her hand around.
To be like,
yeah, look at my ring without looking at my ring. So James totally saw it, and you like had to like straight out tell me, didn't you? Because you're like, we got engaged. I'm like, oh, and she's like, you didn't see my ring. I'm like, no, I didn't see your ring. I'm not that like, I noticed things, but apparently not with this. So it was just funny because it was one of those tag moments. Like, yeah. So
kind of a thing.
Well, I didn't think you guys were ever going to get engaged.
Yeah, that was kind of our thing. So obviously, Vern and I have been together since 2010, so we weren't rushing into any sort of engagement. And both he and I, we own a house, we have dogs. It was not really like, it wasn't a thing that we felt that we needed to do because we just were living our life. So it's funny because everyone's like, we were surprised. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't like, it wasn't anything we ever really talked about necessarily, and it wasn't anything I was pushing for or he was hinting at.
No.
So it just felt it was very out of the blue feeling.
Every time that I had been around when I had asked you guys about, like, are you guys ever going to get married or whatever, it was always, whatever, maybe some point.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, like, if he had still not proposed by now, you'd probably still be in the same situation of just like, whatever. Yeah. Like, you guys have like you guys love each other, and that's what matters.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter if it's like a piece of paper and a ring.
Yep, exactly.
So well, we hope that you guys enjoyed all of that, all of our questions, because it was great to have you guys message in these. So I want to send a special thank you to all the people who sent stuff in: Alyssa D, Chris M, Brandon K, Sam S, Pauline P, Allison, and Lee. Thank you so much for sending in questions. We might have to do one of these things again in the future at some point.
It's okay. I'll be the only weekly tier without an answer. Make sure you send your questions to Producer James or Producer Vern at trivia@DLWeekly.net.
Now it's time to return to Trivia Land with Producer Vern to get the answers to this week's trivia.
Put us out of our misery, Vern.
Please.
This was a rough night for you.
Oh, no.
It was?
It was.
Man.
This was a rough night for you.
I was all confident.
You did very well, absolutely 100% correct on one of them.
Oh, no.
Give yourselves a pat on the back. Well done on that one.
Ooh.
Wow.
We're number one. Answer correct. We're number one. Answer correct.
Mind you, this was the result of me being in Disneyland and having time to sit in queues and come up with really tough questions.
Dang.
So let's just get right into the answers. Your first question. When in a queue at Disneyland, what percentage of the time will Teresa choose the left lane? I see where you were coming from with your guess of 95% of the time, but the actual math came out to 9 out of 15, or 60%.
Really?
Oh, see, he did the actual numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was keeping track. So it seemed like a lot more than it was, and I was genuinely surprised.
The fact that you paid that close attention each time and remembered to do that.
And it was very hard for me to stay completely objective and never suggest a lane.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it was when, like, I would see which lane was going faster, and I had to just hold back and never say a word? That was tough.
Oh, not as tough as the question, though, apparently.
Your second question. With an original population of 2,018, Rainbow Ridge, the biggest little boomtown, now has a population of, you both guessed 13. The correct answer was 38.
You were close. You said 30-something.
Yeah, I was like, maybe it's 33.
Nope.
Wow, we're terrible.
The third regular round.
Next time we go to the park, Teresa, we need to find trivia questions for the producers.
We need to not talk and just sit there and absorb stuff.
or watch them and see what they're observing.
Yeah, watch what I'm looking at as I have my phone out and in my hand.
I mean, that was like a lot, though, so we would have been staring at you like the whole time.
So that's all he was doing when we were in queues.
Yeah,
He was playing his game, too. He wasn't always just writing down stuff.
most of the time I was writing stuff. I have pages of notes.
Goodness.
Pages. Your third regular round question. In Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, what are the two spellings of honey?
Is this the one we got right?
You got half a point on this one when you got Hunny. And the other spelling I was looking for was Honny.
Oh.
Which I didn't know about. It was as we were riding this most recent trip. I'm looking around and I'm just observing the ride and I went, I never knew they spelled it that way. So I had to make a question out of it.
That's pretty good. We only rode Winnie the Pooh once.
That's true. And all I ever remember about that is the Heffalumps and Woozles, the fact that the three things are up behind us, and push it down until they're sticky stuck. The lap bar.
Yeah, that's so
Which
cute.
the cast member seemed like upset at me that I took that line from her because I was like, sticky stuck. She's like, yes, like you said, sticky stuck. And I was like, oh.
And your fourth and final regular question. How many tractors are in Tow Mater's Petting Zoo? You were both correct when you knew that it was one.
Woo! Finally got one.
He looks just very happy to be there and just kind of hopeful that somebody's going to pet him, but I just always feel so sad for him because he's the only one. And he's just kind of sitting there alone, and I want to actually go and pet him. But, of course, you can't.
He gets decorated for Halloween, too, doesn't he, Teresa?
You can go pet him. You can get back there.
Can you?
Yeah, you can get to it.
Oh, I guess I just never have.
It's like a photo spot. It's kind of like the teacup.
Why have we not taken my picture petting the portrait?
Next time.
I didn't know you had such a soft spot for the petting zoo tractor.
Oh, we are totally taking my picture with that tractor next time. I did not know. I've never seen anybody taking their picture with them. I always thought it was just this lonely tractor that... Goodness. All right. Now I know. The more you know. And for the new feature, what queue are you in? You can see the castle while you are standing under a clock tower. As you look across from you, you can see Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and off to your right is King Arthur Castle. As you are standing in line waiting for, Teresa got it right at the end with Peter Pan's Flight.
Ooh.
Well done.
You're making me second guess this clock thing in Snow White.
I'm telling you, hold on. I'm going to pull it up
I should have just went with it. My gut was Peter Pan the whole time, but I just...
And actually, I would have also
wasn't sure.
accepted Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, because after I wrote this particular question, we then went on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride like 15 minutes later, and I'm standing in that queue looking around going, it's the exact same queue.
Kind of the same.
Right here.
Oh, there is a clock. You're right.
See, I knew that there was like a clock there.
And there's
the clock for
Peach.
Now I want to see what Virgin was talking about.
I kind of wonder, do all of them? Nope, they don't all have clocks.
Yeah.
You guys, right now, I'm obsessed with hidden Mickey pins. And there's a series out right now that are in, the little blind bags. So you just get this little tiny foil bag that has 2 pins in it that have the hidden Mickey, the cast member hidden Mickey pins. But one of the series is the weather vanes. And so they have one that's got the pirate ship on top of the pirate ship on top of Haunted Mansion. There's one that has Mr. Toad's weather vane.
TikTok.
I don't know if there's a TikTok one or not. I'll have to find I know there should be, but I don't know if there's a pin for it. But there's a Big Bad Wolf one, which I don't know where the Big Bad Wolf weather vane is. But anyways, they're Disneyland weather vanes. They're so cool.
Well, listeners, how did you do listening at home? How do you think Jag and Teresa did? Do you think that you've got some great questions that would be able to stump them in the future? If you've got some nice ones that you'd like to send along, feel free to send those to trivia@DLWeekly.net.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us. And we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.